Wow, Neil Armstrong. Hey, wait a minute. You're supposed to be on the moon. I just saw it on TV.
Oh, there's a tape delay, and with all solar winds.
Nobody that I know of in my field uses the so-called scientific method. In our field, it's by the seat of your pants. It's leaps of logic. It's guesswork.
Don't see the curvature of the earth. That stuff is flat.
Piecing up the puzzle, need a buster bubble. Evil gonna crumble, yeah? Sit down, be humble. Got the ball, you bout to fumble. You'll get mad, cause at this fight I'm about your uncle.
And then they call me the liar. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable the pathetic techniques that they have to use to prove their heliocentric model.
Props at the president, Jeran got the evidence. Eros laying Jesuits and Zack is evident. That the earth electric and it's resonant. Your resident is heavens and I hope to settle in like some sediment. If we so wrong, why they lying to discredit it? That's not too intelligent. That's a guy, not an in court, but we ain't really in the settlement. It's time to awaken from the pseudoscience sedatives.
Blowbusters taking up.
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
And welcome everybody to Globebusters, locked up tightly in the box. I'm your host, Bob Xanadude16. We're back with another great show for you today. And boy, what a week it's been. All kinds of things have been going on, and we're going to be talking about that today. Austin had a fabulous debate with the physicist, and Jeran moderated that. That was super cool, and just all kinds of wonderful things going on. And of course, we also are creeping ever closer to Flattoberfest, which is coming up in, gosh, just under 2 weeks, something like that. Getting really, really close. So I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully everybody here is going to be able to make that. But if not, we also have another event that's coming up we'll be talking about here in a little while that Jeran and Austin are putting on, which is very, very cool. So before we get to that, let's go ahead and introduce the panel. First up, as always, is Jeran from Jeranism. Hey, Jeran.
Bob, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you. No complaints.
Excellent. That's good to hear.
Nobody would care anyway. So.
Yeah, nobody would care anyway, huh? Oh, well. Yeah, we're still waiting for Austin. I don't know where he is, but maybe he had to recover from his stream this morning. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but he'll be here shortly. So next up, we have Mr. Zachary Zabala, or Good Times for All if you prefer. How you doing today, Zach?
Hey, Bobo. Hey, everybody. Yeah, doing great. Finally cooled off. Getting a little chilly at night around here, but it's going to be beautiful for Flattoberfest.
Yeah, it is. Boy, the weather has just been fabulous. I love South Carolina in the fall. My goodness, it's gorgeous there. So, yeah, I'm excited for that. All right, and we also have with us Mr. Iru Landucci. How you doing today, Iru? Whoops.
Iru.
I trying to put a little bit of mystery.
Rookie mistake. Rookie mistake.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm doing great. I'm gonna complain about Jeran's moderation in the debate. He was too passive, too quiet. He just used that hat came from Back to the Future 2 with letters on the head. I don't know if we should be a Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or whatever, but no, the debate was amazing. I think we talked that off air, and I think it was one of the most organized and well done debate I ever witnessed because it was really in terms of the respect one of each other, the times, everything was great, and I really recommend everyone to take a look because you can take a lot of things from that debate, and the rest it's a pleasure to be again in the Blockbuster show.
Yep, awesome. Very cool. Yeah, they both pretty much behaved themselves. I mean, Austin definitely did. There's no doubt about that. Because Austin understands full well what it means to be just muted and shut up and be muted while your host talks over you and criticizes you and stuff like that. That is definitely not the way to handle the debate. So Austin took that to heart, and he was very, very cordial. Jeran only had to say a few things to what's his name?
Bryant.
Bryant, yeah, to Bryant. But overall, I thought it was amazing. They really did behave themselves.
Yeah, I thought so too. I wasn't sure if the open dialogue, because I never think that it never goes well. Like whenever you're watching modern day debates or any debate channel, you get the opening, you get the rebuttal, and then when it gets into the back and forth, it just turns into a disaster. So I kind of was thinking, well, if it does start going bad, we'll just do like 1 minute each. But they were able to get through it. But Bryant did want to talk over most of the time and not listen.
Man, your hat did all. I think it was the power of the hat in this case.
I don't know if Brian even read it.
I read it.
Yeah, that was a joke because the last time we had the debate with him, he got really frustrated and at one point said, "I don't want to talk to Austin." So I think Dave actually had shirts made. I think Dave took a selfie one time in a shirt that says, "I don't want to talk to Austin."
I know that's crazy, but so I don't know. I mean, I thought that Bryant was very much in denial about everything. I mean, the sad part about it, and that's why I named this show "Locked Up Tightly in the Box," because he's not a PhD. He's a BS and an MA in physics, and that's far enough indoctrinated that he simply is unable at this point to accept any other paradigm other than what he has been told. So even though Austin was trying to explain to him what was going on, with the electrostatics and all that stuff, he didn't want to comprehend it. He didn't want to acknowledge it. He just, didn't want to have any of it, which was crazy. But
he kept asking for peer-reviewed papers, which is literally ridiculous. It's ridiculous for somebody in the scientific world to not understand how something that is completely outside of what they currently believe would be let in through peer review.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, there are people with PhDs behind their names right now that are complaining about peer review and their ideas not being allowed to be shared or even peer reviewed at all.
Right.
Because they're going against the Big Bang and saying, well, this is how everything started. And they can't even get peer reviewed.
Of course, and if you want to take, everything of your belief is going to be in not just belief, but also what you study is going to be in the peer review. You're going to die waiting until someone contradicts the academy. I mean, it's never going to be in that way. And also, I don't know if it's going to be another debate with the same guy, but why they don't talk about nothing in terms of the curvature of the Earth and long distances, observation, things like that.
Very specifically, he wanted to just talk about those two things, which I didn't know either.
Okay.
Maybe they'll do it again. I'm not sure. I mean, I guess he ran over to McToon's channel or something right after, which I didn't know till today or yesterday. But so that was a little bit weird that he's buddies with those guys. But we knew that because I started seeing that he was just showing all of Wolfie's work. So
I see.
yeah. So I mean, this is the problem when you get stuck in that box and you go look for, if you're like, I'm going to go debunk flat Earth. Well, then you're going to find Wolfie and Slice Barcane, and you're going to find these guys. And if you just believe in that religion, then you're going to latch on to whatever that religion is dictating. So that's what he does. And he does sound like he wants to be open-minded about it, but he really thinks that he's right, thinks that he's so right, thinks that what we're saying is so dumb. And I just don't know if those guys realize what they look like to an audience that has been paying attention to this debate for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. That's the problem. Is I don't think they realize that they might even think they come across as smart, believe it or not.
Yeah, and for someone who is all about, oh, I need, peer-reviewed papers, this and that, and then he goes and uses someone like Wolfie as his proof, who nobody even knows his name, nobody's seen him. This is nobody that you're using as your proof now. So the double standards were a little ridiculous in my opinion.
There's so many things that I see coming up now like that, and then there's also the you can't quote people anymore. Quoting doesn't, even though he opened up his argument with an Einstein quote, if Austin tried to bring an Einstein quote later, he just said, well, just quotes are words. Quotes are words. It's like, yeah, but this is the guy who is giving you your relativity that you say has been tested a million times over and is perfect and everything. And he's telling you that there's no experiment that can prove the Earth spins. Oh, you're taking it out of context. How? He said there's no experiment that can prove the Earth spins. He's, oh, well, you didn't read the end. Yeah, we know that the next sentence is, but the Earth goes around the sun. But that's what's hilarious is because he's saying what can be tested and verified and scientifically proven or shown. And then he's following that up with, but this is the belief, right? So we can't do this. I come to the conclusion there is no way for us to tell, and there is no way for this, but the Earth goes around the sun, even though Michelson Morley showed a much slower speed than required to, and in fact, so slow that they just called it an experimental error, when really it's probably about the same as the ether or the sky going around us, which ended up being about that same number. So it's I see that tactic a lot, and he's not going to listen to new ideas because of what it entails. If you start to, and I've always talked about science walking on a tightrope, like a tightrope walker can never look down. They put their hands out and they look forward and they just kind of walk and feel the wire and they go fine. If they look down is when they're going to take a chance of falling. And science is the same way. They can never look at their foundations. They have to look forward, progress forward, go forward, because the second that they go and look at their foundations, the whole house of cards is going to fall. And all of it is gravity. Every bit of this nonsense of dark matter, dark energy, all the problems that they have, we're off by a factor of 10 to the 120, and the cosmic microwave background and the axis of evil, and you name it, everything is stemming from the fact that they cannot get rid of gravity. We hear Richard Feynman tell us that if you have a theory and it doesn't meet observation, you throw out the theory, right? They didn't do that. They have a theory and they observe that it doesn't match, and so they made up things like dark energy, well, they must be there for our theory to be correct, which is completely antithesis of science. So what you get in the end is a completely convoluted, messed up paradigm that these people fall into. I was listening to this little clip of Austin with one of his guys he was debating, and the guy's just going off and he's yelling about redshift, and he says, but we observe redshift, we just look up in the sky and that's what we see, and this is what they've been taught, and it's what I believed, right? I mean, when you hear redshift and when you hear galaxies are moving away from you, you're like, oh, that must be they just look up in the sky and see that. Start looking into it, as Eddie Bravo would say. Just look into it, because when you do, you'll realize that it's not what you think, it's not what you've been taught, and challenge somebody to take you and show you what they're doing, how they're seeing these things, because it's just a postulation and it doesn't have to be right. And I think a lot of people are writing papers now saying that it's not right. And if it's not expanding, then guess what goes out the window? The Big Bang. And without the Big Bang, you've really kind of gone nowhere. Then now we're no better place than we were, 100 years ago. So this is why you can't take the ideas that we're throwing out there, because they are earth shattering, right? They're paradigm shifting. They're completely different. They want something that operates within their science understanding. And if you go outside of that, then to them, you're either an idiot or you're trying to undermine the very system that they love so much. And that's a shame. But I mean, what can we do? What are we supposed to do? Just continue to believe lies and continue to let these guys tell us we're a speck of dust in the middle of an endless universe, when really it's as simple as get rid of gravity because it's not real. I mean, some of the things Austin was saying, I didn't even know these things about things changing with rain and weather. I mean, well, then obviously, I mean, I've been saying, I pointed out, what was it, a month or two ago, that I said that the new moon is causing tornadoes in August and September around that Florida area. And I even made a joke, say, hey, if you're in Florida, don't be at home during the next 2 full moons. And then the second full moon, the tornado happened. So I just noticed there's a correlation between new moons and tornadoes. But then when you start to hear this, what Austin's saying, it's like everything is electrical, and everything is causing the rain clouds to do things, causing the weather patterns to switch, and more than that, because it certainly seems like it might even be causing things that head down to the earth. And he just makes claims like, oh, it's 9.8 meters per second squared, which isn't true. It's not everywhere. It's not equal. It's not always the same. And of course, they try and tell us it has something to do with the composition of the earth or something. But it's just and just to finish off my little diatribe here, I was talking to Avocado Wolf last night, and he was asking me who Austin was. Who's this Austin that's doing the teaming with you on the conference? I said, oh, you got to watch this debate that he did last night. And I said, good kid. So I sent it to him, and like for the next 45 minutes, he's just sending me telegram after telegram, like, oh my God, they're right. It has to be a plane above us. So I'm like, yeah, I was there. I heard it, bro. He's like going off, just loving Austin, because he's like, man, this seems like we're getting somewhere. Because it does. It does seem like things are moving in the right direction for making discoveries and not just settling on one thing and just saying, oh, this must be it, and settled science, and we don't need to continue looking into it. I'm open to hear anybody's ideas and see if they match reality. And so the ones that were told by Bryant and that don't match reality for me anymore. And Bob, do you have an answer to, or do you know what the answer for the baller would be on that box of air example in the vacuum room?
The box of air in the vacuum room?
So let's say we have a vacuum on Earth. Let's say it's a house size, so your house size, my house size. And in that house, we put a shoebox-like size of air, and it's sealed. Okay, so it's sealed off. There's a box of air sitting in the floor, middle of the room on Earth, and then we evacuate the room. So now the entire house is a vacuum, or as close as we can get. And then we electronically open that little shoebox door so that the air now has the ability to go where. So we know that the air would fill that vacuum, that the air is going to leave the box and it's going to disperse into the vacuum room. So if that is true, then how are we told that the gravity is what's holding the atmosphere of the Earth? If gravity can hold the entire atmosphere, why wouldn't it be able to hold the tiniest shoebox to the Earth? Where the Earth, that would be where the gravity is the strongest. So I've asked that a few times. We asked it of Bryant. He didn't want to get to this one, but I haven't yet to hear anybody give me an answer. And usually when I come up with something, like there's some Glober answer, like, oh, of course. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, they're going to say that. But this is one I have not even heard them attempt to answer. Do you know what they would say?
Yeah, actually, I think I do know what they would say. They would say that because of the fact that, you're talking about a shoebox size pressurized environment inside of a vacuum the size of a house, the pressure differential is so great in such a great proximity that, obviously it would disperse all over the place. But that's the reason why it would do that, because, they're saying that the gravitational field is a gradient, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas it goes from 14.7 psi to 0, right, from the box to the house, right next to each other. And they're saying, well, no, because of the fact that the air is in a gradient, going up and up and up, that you get enough weight there that it's actually holding it all down. That's their response. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess. Well, if you get enough weight there, so that but they don't believe in weight, right? So their weight comes from gravity. So if there's enough weight there, that means that there's enough gravitational pull there that is keeping the cloud, or keeping the air on the Earth. So then a tiny little box of air would be easily held by the Earth.
I agree. Yeah. I agree totally, and that's the whole problem. I mean, not only that, gravity supposedly obeys the inverse square law, and as you go up higher, it would get weaker and weaker.
Yeah.
So that's a problem. Hey, Austin.
Hey, sorry, I had something pop up.
Yeah, I'll bet. Newlyweds. All right. So we're just sitting here talking about your debate.
Right. Yeah, I've never heard anyone answer the whole like. So the vacuum that we can create on the Earth is nothing compared to the vacuum it claims space is, and then gravity is the strongest on the surface, right? So I mean, I've never heard a sufficient answer to if you let out a gas container on the surface next to a vacuum, it violently fills it, and that vacuum's nothing compared to the vacuum of space, and that's where gravity's strongest. How could it stop it next to a much quote unquote stronger vacuum
And how did
where
it ever
gravity's
build to
weaker?
that level in the first place, right? I mean, how did that even happen, even if that was possible? So it just doesn't make any sense because if, say, we're a brand new planet, right, and we're just forming and, you know, gas molecules are starting to coalesce, then what is going on there? How is that happening?
What's pulling? What's calling? I mean, it's the same idea of how we have these gas giant planets and rocky planets. How does that first thing go? Because they tell you, oh, there's a potato radius, nothing smaller than that will, you know, pull its own gravity or something. But that doesn't make any sense if they have to build these things from something. They have to be built somehow. Gravity has to start somewhere and say, okay, I'll be the one that's going to start right here. But there's no evidence of that at all. So it is funny that their examples are always the Earth is their only example. So I remember when we talk about, well, how can you have a pressurized atmosphere next to a vacuum? Their answer is, well, the Earth. Look at the Earth. That's our evidence of it. But just with that simple box example shows you that something's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just makes no sense. It makes no sense. I like, because again, where gravity is the strongest, it doesn't do that. So I don't like, now what they say is it doesn't change much. It's not much weaker. It doesn't matter. That's irrelevant.
That's the strongest point, is at the Earth.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how much we're stronger. The fact is that it's stronger and that the vacuum's not as strong, and yet it violently fills the vacuum. So how does it stop it from doing that where it's weaker? And they never answer. I'm talking, dude. I've talked to a lot of people and asked them that. They don't have an answer.
That's right. And not only that, the lightest part of the atmosphere is on the top. That would be the first thing that got ripped off, right? Would be the top part of the atmosphere. And then as it's churning away on that weight, it keeps coming down, keeps coming down, keeps coming down, and evacuating the pressurized area. There is absolutely nothing that can possibly hold it there.
Yeah, we should have a vacuum right up to the surface.
Yep. But
This
that
is
is
why
that
they
is their
created
short,
the ionosphere.
right.
I don't even see how that helps them though. Like, yeah, I mean,
doesn't.
they came up with the ionosphere for lots of stuff, but it doesn't help them. Like, I don't know.
No, it really doesn't. But they
That is
had
a
to make
great
the
point.
ionosphere because we have equal potential lines. And if Earth were a sphere without the ionosphere, yes, the electric field should fall off at 1 over r squared. And I couldn't believe he actually said, well, can we agree the Earth falls off at 1 over r squared? No.
No.
100, 200, 300, 400, that's not 1 over r squared.
And it's not falling off either.
No, 1 over r squared would be 100, 200, 400, 800, 1600. That's 1 over r squared. And our electric field does not do that.
It would be backwards. You're essentially describing an inverse square function.
Now, that is one of the basic equations that we're taught, 1 over r squared. And he looks at the electric field measurements, and he can't make the correlation that that's not what it is.
Well, then he tried to claim something about it drops off at 120 meters or something. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Sorry, that was me.
And then I said, because I asked him like 4 times, you know, you have to have 2 Gaussian surface. What's acting as your Gaussian surface above us? And he kept ignoring it. Then finally in the Q&A, he said the ionosphere. I'm like, oh, the ionosphere is acting as the surface? And then he didn't respond directly. I'm like, yo, this is just weird. Like, and then the ionosphere, of course, was originally proposed because Marconi shot the radio waves, right? And they went too far. And then, like you've done a good job pointing out, is like all of a sudden they just change. Maxwell just changed his equation and said, "Oh yeah, you can have electrostatics without matter." You know?
Yeah, he doesn't seem to understand that the Gaussian surface needs to be part of a circuit, right?
Yeah, exactly. It has to be a closed surface.
Circuit, yes.
Yeah, correct.
So yeah, and I couldn't believe that he just see, that's the whole thing. People don't get this. We are dealing with a flat Earth model. And like I said, in a globe, you wouldn't have something that would cause discharges up. You wouldn't have something up there that would be charged at 100 miles up. And the only thing that can do that would develop equipotential lines of force would be to have a cathode and an anode that are charged with 10 million volts, okay? And that will give you your 100 volts per meter, which is exactly what we see. Now, in a globe, there is no explanation for that at all.
Yeah, it's been my newest argument. I bring it up all the time. I think it's a better argument it's almost better argument for the firmament than the gas pressure. Like, there has to be a surface above us. I mean, dude, they've never answered me.
Now,
So
I
it's just
did
funny.
go look up. They say at 30 kilometers up, or 30 miles up, 50 kilometers, that it's only 7 volts per meter. But what Feynman said about this is because once gases get so ionized, they start acting as a conductor. It's like a plasma. You're no longer in the electric field. You're actually like in the earth. So it's not measuring the electric field. Everything up there is neutral to whatever's up there, which most likely comes down to the ground eventually. So you're not really talking about the electric field once you get into ionized gas. Once you get up into ionized gas, they say that's acting as a conductor. So a conductor doesn't hold the electric field, it permeates one. You know, I mean, you can have an electric field inside of a conductor and a hollow space, and there will be an electric field in there. But a solid structure doesn't have an electric field inside of it. The electric field is incoherent and only on the outside edge of objects.
Correct. Well, like, I mean, you know, of course, I don't believe anything they claim about.
Yeah, me neither. Then I was looking into how they measure the electric field at those heights. And they have to make so many assumptions. I shared it in the Globebusters live chat, that PDF. Chapter 2 is all about this assumption we have to make when measuring the electric field with spacecraft, they say. And this assumption, and this assumption, and this equation that we have to throw in, yeah, it's all nonsense. It's all nonsense. I don't think you can measure the electric field without having the potential of ground to measure it
maybe
against.
Maybe not, right? Like, I don't know where would be your standard of comparison for measurement.
It would be hard. It would be real hard to do.
Very hard, yes. So anyway, yeah, it's just crazy. He was so far off on that. Actually, I wanted to cover a couple of things really quick before we got into that discussion, but we kind of jumped into it. But
Sorry, Bob, we're gonna enter into the debate discussion, or because if not, I like to share 2 or 3 things before changing topics.
Oh, all right, sure.
Do you want me to play? I have a 3-minute clip from the debate if you want to play that too. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be great first. And
start. Let me get that going.
I have the whole thing up, but yeah, I'll take your 3-minute clip.
Maybe it's just the end where he gave his presentation. I have it started.
Arthur Eddington, you name him.
Yeah, go ahead and go to where there's 2:45 left on his clock if you want to show up, Bob. At the towards the end.
All right, hang on a second.
Yeah, I want to say so. My favorite part so far, because I want to make a little clip of it, like a montage of it, is where I'm saying something. I can't remember what it is, and he's not listening to anything I say. Right? He's just waiting for me to stop talking to respond to say something else. And as soon as I finished, he had already predetermined his response. He said, "You're just saying words," and so he said, "You're just saying words." Oh, I mean, yeah, you're right. Like, what?
Congratulations.
Yeah,
you should have thrown something in there. Have something ready next time, like just hilarious. And I think the gummy bears are what's holding the earth together, and just see if he's even paying any attention at all.
Yeah, because it looked like he wasn't.
Toward the end, I think it was the I have just this little clip. In my clip, I show there's 2:45 on the clock behind me. I think it's Austin's final. Yeah, right about there, maybe. A little bit back more. I'm not watching on. I'm watching on the live
stream. Time.
Keep going back.
It just says time the whole time behind him.
Yeah, during his final his final.
Jesus, that's half the damn video. It says time. There's one.
Okay, there's 2:45 and then start there. Yeah, but that's good.
That's good. Okay, let's try that.
Just till the end of the clock.
Yeah. Again, you kind of walk.
Can you hear that?
Yep.
Okay.
Walked past it, but I'm gonna really drive this home for the last 3 minutes. Einstein, Hubble, Hawking, Arthur Eddington, you name them. Wolfgang Pauli, they all explain you can't prove that the Earth is moving from the Earth. You cannot, including stellar aberration. And they will tell you point blank that they can create a model for you that explains alleged parallax, which doesn't actually happen, retrograde motion, stellar aberration, all in a geocentric model with the Earth stationary. And you cannot prove that it's spinning or revolving on the Earth itself. It's impossible.
That's right. And one other thing is redshift has been basically debunked by Halton Arp himself, as far as showing, any type of parallax. So there goes that out the window
See
as
how much
well.
trouble they're in, because I mean, if now they can't gravity, they're trying to hold on to that as best they can.
Yeah,
And then
magnetic field will cause a redshift phase. Absolutely.
And then they're trying to hold on to the expansion, which is because they need to hold on to the Big Bang. Because if they have to go back, science knows that if they have to go back and actually say, hey, we made a huge mistake and we need to go back and we were going to regress 70 years, that their name around the world would be trashed, right? It's like the guy that was debating Austin that's going off about, we look up in the sky and we just see redshift. No, you don't. You've never looked up in the sky at all and seen redshift. You've been told that they do.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, they're dead on all fronts. They have absolutely no evidence, period. So let's continue.
Stephen Hawking in 2007 explained it, quoting Einstein from his writings in Special and General Theory of Relativity, his paper on the combined two theories, explaining that you cannot prove that the Earth is spinning. They choose to believe in the Copernican principle because they have a religion. That triggers people because they think they hate religion. They hate God oftentimes. But that is a religion. It's a belief system built upon the doctrine of men, void of empirical, verifiable evidence, and in fact, contrary and antithetical to the actual evidence. Despite what the evidence says, I just now read him point blank say it can never be disproven. We disregard that possibility because of the horror of a special and unique position. Right? And I have plenty of quotes here from geocentrists or heliocentrists explaining you can never prove it. You can't prove that the Earth is or that the Earth is not stationary. But we don't want to believe that because that would mean the Earth is special. So then what do? We go look out at the background distribution, the energy coming away from the Earth. It shows the Earth's in the center. So what do? They call it the axis of evil. And then they come up with a new idea. Well, it does look like we're the center, but that must mean that no matter where you are in the universe, it would look like you're in the center. Or we're just in the center. They don't.
Yeah, and then after that, they had to come out with their ridiculous frame of reference argument, which that is just the stupidest argument ever. Well, the Earth is in a specific frame of reference, therefore, there's no other motion that we have to take into account. That's ridiculous. But that's what they're doing.
Don't want to say what it is because it has spiritual implications. It has philosophical ramifications. And that is that the Earth had to be placed there. It has a special, unique position. They want to believe that there are a tiny speck of dust in an ever-expanding universe of nothingness where everything came from nothing and there's a pre-existing energy. But let's not talk about that part. Oh, lightning struck primordial soup and all this nonsense. And why? That's a good question. Probably because they're scared of like moral accountability, I would guess. But this is the point. This is the problem. It's portrayed as science, and we're brainwashed and indoctrinated with this idea as if it is science, and it's proven, and it's not questionable. And you actually go look behind the curtain, it's philosophy, and they admit it. So that's why I gave the specific quotes, and it was walked past. It's the crux of the whole issue. There is a philosophy that leads to atheism and nihilism and materialism portrayed onto the world as if it is, in fact, scientific fact. You can't prove that the Earth is moving. If the Earth is a ball that spins, which it objectively isn't, we falsified it, everything gives us the illusion that it's stationary. And this is what all of the astronomers and astrophysicists say that gave you the current model.
Good work on time there.
Yep. So, what else can you say about that? Everything tells us that the Earth is not moving, period. And it's just a philosophical position to declare otherwise, because otherwise, we're special and we can't have that, right?
Putting a link in all the chats, Bob, for the movie The Principle that I have on one of my servers. So put there, and then Jeran has some links on Telegram if people want. If you haven't seen the movie The Principle yet, check it out. It's where a lot of these quotes came from. Some of them, as far as you get to see Lawrence Krauss basically say, it certainly appears that we're in the center, but it can't be. And George Ellis is in that film, and Michio Kaku, and they all cry foul because they say that, our words were used against us, but really they were just answering the questions asked, right? And they found out later, it was a geocentric movie. But that's how crazy it is that they just were answering questions that they felt they were okay to answer. But when it's put into a geocentric frame, all of a sudden you realize, oh shit, that's kind of evidence that we're probably not flying through space.
Yep.
Yeah, I like kind of sounded out of breath. I think it's really funny, but yeah, I just think that this whole debate was crazy because you can tell by watching him right then, he's not listening to what I'm saying, man. He's
Not a
literally
word.
dude. He's just thinking about what he's about to say.
Yep. He has no idea what you even said. I mean, talk about in one ear and right out the other. And, you know, it's sad. It really is, because he's not interested in finding out the truth. He's only interested in repeating his parroting, you know, and that's why he had to go over to McToon's to lick his wounds, right?
Yep. Yep. And like, what's funny is I was listening to him, but I actually have heard everything that he says, you know? So it was hard to pay attention because I've heard it all and I've heard it said better. But I was still trying to listen, and that's, you can tell I listened because I specifically rebutted what he invoked in my response, but he never did that. So I just find it, I find it disingenuous. It's kind of a bad look.
Disingenuous from Ballers. That's weird. It's,
Never.
Yeah.
Seems to be a pattern of some type.
A requirement or something.
I posted, I got my Telegram. I mean, I got my TikTok pulled down yesterday. I posted a TikTok of that guy, Richard Hart was on with Michael Sartain on his podcast, and they both were talking about me and didn't realize they were talking about the same person, because Richard Hart says, oh, I tried to debate a flat earther for 2 hours and I got him to move a little bit or something. And then the other guy's saying, oh, we had one on for 3 hours. And then he says, and everything they came at us with, every single thing, I had an answer for. I had an answer for everything. It's like these pompous asses. And so I had to make a TikTok of the part where we're saying that the planes, you know, are going over the speed of sound in the south, and this guy's yelling at us. He's a pilot. And he's yelling at us, and he says, oh, you would effing know. You would effing know if you're going faster than the speed of... and then me and Dave both said, no, you wouldn't. Nobody in the plane would know. And then he's got like his 5-star general guy, this Air Force fighter jet pilot next to him. And he looks at his... He's like putting his hands up towards him like, here he is. You're about to find out that you guys are wrong. And then he's like, now tell me, would you know if you went past the speed of sound in the plane? And the guy's like, well, no, not from in the cockpit.
Yeah. And it's just relative to static pressure around you. So actually in the jet stream specifically, you wouldn't even hear nothing. Yeah.
No. So that was pretty...
You might see the cloud burst around the front of the plane, you know.
I don't know. You're going pretty fast.
No, you might. I don't know. I've never been supersonic, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's just funny that, I mean, for him to say, oh, I had all the answers. And actually, if you go back and watch that podcast, they didn't have any answers. They really didn't. I mean, I walk away from these, I never learned anything new, like, oh, I got to go look into that now because they're right about that. They just use words like spectroscopy and say that, oh, we know what these gases are around these distant suns, and we know the distances, and we know. No, you really don't. You don't.
Okay. Do we have anything else on that clip we want to play?
No, that clip I think was it. I got some other stuff for that, and then Meru said he wanted to talk on that.
Yeah.
Thing.
Okay, I brought your screen up. If that's the one you want to share.
Yes, no, because I while I watching the debate, I just take note of 2 or 3 things that I want to share with everybody, because I don't have any special answer, but could be something that helps in future debates every time the topic of gravity will be addressed. The first thing is that I remember this moment in time where Austin was very relaxed, and Brian showing this diagram and claiming that the gravity force when you go up to, for example, to the ISS, it's almost the same. And if the gravity will be caused by electrical force, once you go up higher than 30-40 kilometers, the attraction will be none, almost, right? Please, if you want to say better than me, Austin, I appreciate.
Yeah, he's pretty much saying with that weak of a potential difference at the top that you would be able to float, pretty much.
Yes. And he said that gravity is always like constant rate of acceleration, and you go higher and gravity is pulling down always without any
gravity
exception.
is supposed to obey the inverse square law, which means it would be considerably weaker up there.
Well, at the height of the ISS is almost the same. It's 8.7 instead of 9.8 meters squared. But the thing is, what I want to show is that, for example, when you go to this official, this is from the German Space Agency, DLR, and you go to, for example, this rocket called Matthews 5, is a sounding rocket. They claim, well, they don't claim, they show that that this sounding rocket has an apogee of 250 kilometers, but the rocket experienced 6 minutes of microgravity at that height, and the speed that the rocket reach, it's around 4,000 kilometers per hour. So what do
they consider microgravity, Euro?
Well, that is the thing that I want to address, because for me, Brian, when he trying to say Austin this idea that no, gravity is all the time present, it doesn't matter how high you go, and instead in your model the electrostatic gravity must be go to zero once you pass 40 kilometers up in the atmosphere. Now the thing is that when the rockets, let me just play. It's gonna be a very fast video, because they hide on purpose the 6 minute microgravity. The rocket is that. It's just that little arrow in comparison with any. For me, this is a real rocket that really go high and reach certain altitude. Now the thing is, now we're gonna have a two-side comparison camera, because one camera is pointing to the left, the other is pointing to the right. Doesn't matter. The rocket starts spinning. You can have access to one camera only video. It's in the same official page. Doesn't matter. It's gonna come the first separation stage. Then it's going to go up until the sound of the rocket start going down. Almost zero volume, because you don't have more air presence. Let me just, there you're gonna have, you don't have almost no more sound, you don't have more combustion, and this is the speed. It's almost Mach 6, 2000 meters per second, not kilometers per hour, meters per second. Okay, now the thing is, when these rockets reach the 250 kilometers, it doesn't matter. It's worse, because the horizon still go up with the view of the eye level, and it's still flat. I don't want to address that topic. What I want to address is that these rockets enter into a fluid state or microgravity, but doesn't match the orbital speed needed to be 6 minutes in microgravity. Why it's 6 minutes in microgravity? And in that position of the rocket, which is in a horizontal position, and now it's falling down, not at 9.8 meters per second square. It's not even at 8.6, which will be the math behind the gravitational equation based on the altitude. It's just not going down at the prediction speed for that altitude and for that quote-unquote orbital speed. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
No, you're saying it exactly right. It's getting up too high. It is not coming down at the predicted rate of descent of 8 point whatever it is.
How do we know that? We're able to calculate from this how fast it's falling down?
Yes, because it's official in their experiment.
Oh, yes.
It's tell you, it's very simple. If this rocket reached 253 kilometers, cannot be only 6 minutes of microgravity before start descending to the ground. So these 6 minutes are extra minutes based on the falling rate.
Well, microgravity would be as you're falling, right? There is no such thing as just floating in space. So he would be so that 6 minutes would include part of the falling.
Yeah, but don't confuse microgravity in an airplane like the vomit plane, which you are still falling down at the same rate, but the microgravity is the feeling of being floating in this same air pressure system, which is the inside of a plane. This is completely different because this is not falling at the predicted rate by gravity. This is like being floating in some type of gas, fluid, whatever. In fact, you have that confirmation because we don't know why they cut off the video feed from those 6 minutes. In fact, here you can see the actual title. They put this title by their own. They say re-entry phase after 6 minutes of microgravity. They don't want to show us that moment. And then you have an extra few seconds of that microgravity, and then it's passing over that, I don't know, gradient. And I explained this in my theory about the hexafluoro gas up there. But take a look of this. You have a few seconds still falling in not the rate that gravity predicts, but now it's going to enter into the normal state, quote unquote, of free falling based on gravitational pull, because you're gonna hear the sound, you're gonna see, well, first some water up there, which is, I don't know what it is, but now start falling normally. And not just falling normally, but also it's, sorry for the internet, but also start self-oriented. That is why you see that movement. I don't know why internet is so slow. Sorry, guys. That is my computer of my internet. But let me recap. Then it's self-oriented. So it's transferred from one medium to the other. And now it's falling 9.8 meters square per second. So what I'm trying to say is this claim here, it's not true. It's not the prediction. It's not based on reality. This claim above, you go high and you still have the prediction of gravity. For me, at least, and how I understand that. And in fact, the ionosphere officially, because this guy talked about above 30 kilometers, blah blah blah. The electric forces are not anymore the power of, I cannot explain myself in English, but here is from a sounding rocket from NASA, and they say about this.
Sounding rockets are used to get above the part of the Earth's
turn it up a little
where we live.
Okay, let me just turn. No, this is a maximum volume that.
Oh, okay.
I have. I don't know. Let me just put this
subtitles.
Okay, let me check.
Sounding rockets are used to get above the part of the Earth's atmosphere where we live and breathe.
That's better.
Above 60 miles or 100 kilometers. The atmosphere includes an electrically charged gas.
So 100 kilometers is still an electrical charged gas.
Charged particles flit around, collide, respond to magnetic and electric fields.
Responding to magnetic and electric fields.
And produce the aurora.
So that is 100 kilometers. So where is this claim of 30 kilometers and then the electricity and magnetism stop and not be any more important?
that seems to be a problem, doesn't it? Yep, that's way off.
That is way off, man. That is way off. So that is what I like to share, because for me, I mean, this type of claims, we must have into consideration. The most important thing is that the 6 minute quote unquote of microgravity, because that is not what the globe predicts. Because for being 6 minutes before start falling again, I assume that you must be very quick, very in high speed to keep 6 minutes before entering into the Earth, and then you have that some barrier transfer, some you are in the fluid and then off the fluid in very short period of time, like 10 seconds. You change medium. So
and there can't be much of a medium up there if it's still accelerating upwards,
Yeah,
after the Miko cuts off, right?
yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I just want to share with you.
Have you ever
Those
heard,
three
Eero,
things.
somebody's reaching out to me and saying to tell you to play the Mapuya 6 video? It's 13 minutes long with 10 minutes of microgravity.
No, no. Do you have to send me
We
the
can,
link or something?
I told him I asked him for a link right now, but can you? I guess you just search it. Maybe it's map MAP and then HEUA. Map.
Can you type? Because the last time that I tried to
I
understand
was telling
spelling,
people, see if Bob wants to put it in, just see if we can bring it up too.
yeah, because I end in the jail inside the North Carolina airport.
I remember that
because I I didn't know how to say letter A or E. I don't know.
Damn, bro.
Over in the can you get on the?
Okay, stop sharing.
No.
Okay, in StreamYard, right?
I'll put in that chat 1 second.
Okay, I am looking the chat.
I think it's that spelled like that. Bob, can you search that MAPHEUA?
Yeah. I have it. This is the 5, and then you have the 6. It's the same. It's this one. It's this one. If you take a look at the beginning of the video, it said that it's just say the Matthews 5, and then you have the Matthews 6. But the Matthews 6, I didn't know about Matthews 6 DLR. I think it was 6 minutes too, not 10 minutes.
He says 13 minutes long with 10 minutes of microgravity. It's the most insane rocket launch I've ever seen.
Okay. Well, I gonna, because here it says 6 minutes and 19 seconds. Matthews 6, which was the same that I show you before, but this is one camera only from the left side of the rocket. But it said here 6 minutes, and there is and 1 second, Bob, don't get mad with me. Sounding rocket. Okay. Sounding rockets. I have it here in my computer. In fact, I sent to Bob a long time ago all my sounding rocket videos, and I have it right here, I think. Yeah, and here I have a lot from different countries. I just searching the ones from Delaware. Here we have it. I have for example, this one, which was another. This was from the same space agency, the Maxus 7 flight. Here was, for example, a very poor quality, because this is from 2004, something like that. And here again, you're gonna have those changing camera situation, and this is supposedly microgravity, and it's about less. You have the same behavior. The rocket is just like floating in some type of medium, and then when it's entered again into the earth, it's take the normal rate of acceleration or descension, and you also have the self-oriented, because remember the theory behind the boson Einstein theory, that it said that it's like the particle lose the identity when it go very, very in low temperatures and things like that, and up there is really low temperatures. So I don't know, maybe that idea of losing identity, it's also losing orientation, and the things don't behave in the same way. Of course, this is a more than wide the fisheye lens, and it's crazy. I mean, I have a lot of these sounding rockets videos, and everything all happen the same thing. It's just floating. This is not microgravity in terms of the Newtonian mechanics. And then they cut, and they just put the part where the rocket starts spinning again, because change medium, entering our standard atmosphere, and then the Newtonian physics apply back again. It's like a switch at 100 kilometers, which is crazy. I mean, it's very crazy. Well, I cannot say anymore. I like I mentioned, I have a lot of those rockets, and all the rockets happen the same thing. I mean, this is the only way to access to that altitudes. And here you can see a fisheye lens, and there you have the. Of course, in this case, the camera is very clever, because in this case, the camera are just like a trick, because the camera is in this position or this orientation. I just waiting to my easy pen open here. I have it. We have the eye level is around here, but that is the same technique that they use in the Felix Van Garner champ. This is the rocket, and the camera has like a tiny open here, and the camera is pointing in this direction, so the eye level is not at the center, because the camera is like this, is not like
it's
that.
Offset, yeah.
Yes, that is on purpose. But what can I say? The Earth is flat, even at 100 or 200 kilometers up there. It doesn't matter. It's still crazy. So this is all what I want to share. This is the Matthew 6, in fact. This is the number 6. So I'm gonna stop sharing.
Just, the guy says that when you watch it actually happen, he says it's 10 minutes. They say 6, but if you watch it, it's for 10 minutes.
Oh, well, that is even worse.
Yes, I know. I said
that is even worse. Yeah, I'm stop sharing.
Okay, and shout out to Mixlix, who says, in 2025, when I become a crypto millionaire, I will buy Globebusters and Company 2 Go Fast rockets.
Whoop, whoop.
Blast them into the dome with a bang. Hey, we will.
say make a screenshot.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Somebody has mentioned to me before, why don't we send a balloon up, and at the very top size it can go launch off whatever kind of rocket we can, just to see it flail in space like a like, I don't know. Like
boy, keeping it stable up there would be a bitch.
Yeah,
I know Dwayne Kellum was looking into that, and he said it was a nightmare that he didn't even want to try to tackle.
Yeah, it would be a cool experiment, though, no doubt about that. But yeah, it would be difficult to keep that thing stable. So I know we'd have to take a chapter out of Victor Brewer's book with the gimbaled platform. But then it depends on how much thrust that thing comes off that platform with. It could just tip over. So hard telling. Anyway, okay, so one thing I wanted to say about the whole gravity argument is that I don't think a lot of people really understand that, yes, I mean, there's definitely a downward force of some kind, right? But it has been eliminated through the standard means of, space-time bending, which is nonsense, because the mainstream can absolutely not demonstrate anything that shortens anything getting shorter in physical size or longer or bending or anything like that. I mean, they claim that, but they have absolutely nothing to back it up with, right? So where do they even get off saying it, right? And so they talk about gravitational fields and gravitons, and they have no idea what a graviton is, because gravitons simply do not exist. They're not real. They are completely fake. It's, again, something that is made up because of the fact that they had to come up with something that was going to allow them to propagate their heliocentric lie, right? So
it's the best friend of Megatron.
Yeah, exactly. It astounds me that they make up all this lore about gravity, and there's really only one thing that we know about gravity, right? What is that? Little g, 9.8 meters per second squared, and that is an approximation of the acceleration rate of gravity, right?
In a vacuum, right?
In a vacuum, supposedly, right? And of course, they say it's the same for everything. We have evidence that that's not true. And hopefully, if we ever get our experiments done, we're going to find out that for sure that's not what's happening with that. Especially if you talk about like Boyd Bushman and his magnets inside of weights, like what Zack set up, right? When we get a chance to do that, then we'll be able to prove it as well. But the point is that is the only thing that they can say for sure about their so-called claim of gravity, is that something causes things to accelerate downward in a vacuum at 9.8 meters per second squared. Don't know what it is, but so every bit of evidence that they use to back this up, they have absolutely no demonstrable proof for it. Whereas, when we're showing the downward electrostatic vector, we're showing two Gaussian plates, we're showing a voltage gradient, and you can do this experiment in any electronics class where you will get a downward push on the things that are within that field, right? So here we have with our little silly flat earth theory that works perfectly, and they got nothing again. And they'll tell you all kinds of stories about gravity, but they can back up absolutely nothing of it. It's funny because they even have, these pieces of equipment called gravimeters, and they're nothing more than accelerometers. And what do? They tell you how fast things are accelerating, right? And, we know also that things have different acceleration rates. They'll even tell you that right on the gravimeter page, and they'll come up with all kinds of reasons for this, that, and the other thing. But one thing that Austin said, to the physicist guy was that, when there is a thunderstorm or any electrical activity, that absolutely does produce changes in the acceleration rate. Point blank. It really does. So,
yeah, he just didn't respond to that, bro. Like, they've actually found that even like wind. So they use a gravimeter and it's in a vacuum chamber. There's like all kinds of university papers about like lightning storms, thunderstorms, and ionic wind, because the wind will change it. They can't figure it out. They don't talk about ionic wind or anything, right? They're like so confused. They don't understand why gravity would be affected by a thunderstorm, but we understand it, right? And he was just like, he's like, no, you got to show me the papers. I'm like, okay, so hypothetically, if that happened, then what would be your answer? I'm not going to answer that until you show it to me. I'm like, bro, you're just being dishonest, bro. Disingenuous.
Because he had no idea what you were even saying. He didn't hear a word you said about the Gaussian plates or the downward pressure that would be exerted on anything that would be in between them. He didn't hear any of that because that is not taught, and he didn't register that in his paradigm. So it's like, sure. What do you say to that? The guy is just lost in space completely.
Well, I mean, even Richard Feynman in his lectures and papers, I was reading them today, and he talks about ionic wind coming down from the positive above, because he calls them ions, are grabbing the wind or the air molecules as they're going down to the ground, and they're being pushed along with it. I mean, this isn't anything new. We're not making this up. These aren't our fresh ideas. We're just bringing this forth and saying, hey, they've known about this for a long time. Why wasn't I taught about any of this in school?
Yeah, exactly. And dude, it's all electric. Like, I guess one of their big home runs is they want to say that there's neutrons, right? And they don't have a charge, but they don't have a net charge, or they have an elementary charge even within the subatomic particle physics paradigm. And then they're like, well, there has to be, well, what about the nuclear force? And that's also electric as far as I can tell, because they're like, no, it can't be electrostatic because it doesn't repel with light charges. But what they don't understand is that like incoherent magnetism is attractive only, and it's inversely proportionate to increase in mass. So like, yeah, there's just an intrinsic electric resonance inside all these things, these little, they have all their models. It's all electric, everything from the smallest to the biggest, literally everything.
And when he said that the nuclear forces, how they understand them well, when I watch Walter Lewin talk about it, he says he's glad it's not in 802 electricity and magnetism because they don't understand the nuclear forces yet.
Yeah, and it's admitted to this day that no one understands what it is. Like, it's considered one of the most mysterious phenomena there is.
So to say that we have all the answers because we have an equation, that's ridiculous. Show me.
Stupid.
Yeah, well, that's Red's rhetoric said the same thing. It's three-body problem, no problem. I can solve that easy.
Do all the moons of Saturn.
Yeah, no problem.
Oh yeah, I don't know if anyone saw, but today in my stream I gave an equation just because it's funny, right? Because they're all about their equations. Until you have an equation that can then you don't have nothing. I mean, you can easily come up with equations for downward acceleration just using height and time, and then the starting velocity of 0. You can easily come up with an accurate equation for downward acceleration. Everywhere they put a little g, you can just put the letter a, right? That's all that it is. So, like with buoyancy or whatever, you can just put the letter a there. So it's like, okay, cool. How do you solve for your little g? I can replace it easily with height and time. So, and velocity. So it's like, okay, now what? Now you have an equation. So like, they got nothing, bro. It's getting so bad that I don't really know how much longer this can stay together, because we've elevated the game to just saying density to like going and ripping gravity out of their like dying grasp. And like, you know what I'm saying? We're ripping it away from like their dead corpse and then accurately defining it. And that's like their last little hurrah. I mean, I don't see where they can go from here, honestly.
He may know that there is a big difference between measuring the electric potential on a sphere object compared to measuring the electric potential between two plates. But he wasn't acting like there's a plate above, like the ionosphere, which they made up. They say there's an ionosphere up there. I'm just calling it a Gaussian surface. I don't know what it is. But yeah, he did not want to acknowledge that. He kept trying to say that the electric field falls off at 1 over r. No, it does not.
Well, and that can't be replicated, Zach, right? Like we can replicate two Gaussian surfaces having equipotential increase between the two and then downward electric pressure inside that system. You can anyway, for one, you can't show any electrostatics without matter, right? Like without matter for electrostatic induction, you can't show a transfer of electrostatic.
They can't make an ionosphere. They can't.
Yeah, so it can't even make one in a lab because it's antithetical to like actual reality. Like the claim itself of the ionosphere doesn't make sense, and Maxwell just made up some BS in equations. So
yeah,
all evidence shows us that it's a plate.
Ampere's equation,
yes,
which now no longer coincides with Maxwell's first equation that says that you have to have matter to have an electric field. Where now the fourth equation now says you don't.
It's crazy, bro, and that's all because of a devotion to the globe.
Yep, you absolutely do have to have matter, because otherwise you don't have anything to charge. It's as simple as that. It's like,
dude, it's so stupid. And this is what's crazy, because it just came from a devotion to the globe. Literally. It wasn't like they discovered something. They were like, oh, this has to be the case with the Earth's a globe. That's it. So, I mean, I think it's crazy. That's why I went around all these circles. That's why I still stay on Discord and stuff like that. And I asked everyone, like, can you give me any type of demonstration of equipotential increase of electricity without two Gaussian surfaces? And, you know, it's like, oh, you don't know what Gaussian surfaces are. Plates aren't Gaussian surfaces. All this nonsense. I'm like, a plate can't be a Gaussian surface.
They tell you what you don't know when they don't have a damn clue.
Yeah, it's just gas. Like
we are a Gaussian surface. Everything is a Gaussian surface.
Duh. Anything with depth. Yeah, like, right? Like all it needs is depth and be like have a closed capability of circuit. Like, duh, it's closed. A plate's closed and has depth. And there's clearly something above us. I think it's like the best evidence ever that there's a firmament, personally.
Yeah. A Gaussian surface is simply something that emanates or holds within, you know, has a chamber inside of it, an electric field. That's it. And we all do it. You pointing your finger, you will have more electricity coming off the tip of your finger than anywhere else on your body. That's just how electricity, you're not going to see it. You're not going to feel it. It's very, very weak, but it's always taking place everywhere around us.
Which is why you can blow the candles out, right?
The electric field. Yeah, that's why I can blow a candle out with my Van de Graaff generator and a nail.
You just point your finger to the candle, it goes out. I don't even know. We have all kinds of science, because science has actually been able to physically manipulate stuff like independent variables and stuff like that. We have all the science in the world, and they have none. And then it's portrayed as the exact opposite. It's really crazy. I don't know how much longer it could go on without the house of cards falling, even with the censorship.
It is. It's crazy. Hey guys,
oh, go
ahead, Hero.
No, I sorry, I was too enthusiastic today. But no, I would like to very quickly, if I could just show this screen share once again, because you are talking about this surface, Gaussian surface, and I remember this. This experiment. Exactly. No, this from this guy, which is very well known in YouTube for some experiments, and he talks about the title of this is levitation powers from high voltage, and he does something related with the experiment that Zack showed us, and in fact, not just with Gaussian plates or surface, but he also like. With the hand, like Zack mentioned before. I don't know if this is related, but you know, just for showing.
Yeah, this is a good one, Eru. Yeah. Yeah, it shows that your hand is the same thing. Everything can be a Gaussian surface. Everything.
Yeah, exactly. So there you have it.
Everything
Just for
except the Earth. The Earth cannot explain it. And like I said, the Earth, the explanation in the heliocentric model for this behavior, this voltage gradient in the atmosphere, is because the cosmic rays hitting the ionosphere, right, up from the other side. That's just nonsense.
Okay.
So silly. All right.
Yeah, this
Just
sums
for
it
the
all up
record.
right here. That little that simple little demonstration. You can do it with like freaking styrofoam plates, bro. It's just funny. It's funny that it's ignored. It's weird.
Yep. So anyway, I want you guys to take a look at this picture on the screen really quick that we're looking at, and tell me what you think. How many ways can you tell that this stupid thing is completely fake? And the reason I ask that is some guy sent this to me and says, I suppose this is fake too, right? It's an
Yes.
8K. And I'm like, oh yeah, it is
9/11.
definitely fake.
You have 9/11, you know, with the 6/11 in the orange bar. No, just my my paranoid symbology side of my brain. It's detected the orange bar and the 6/11, 9/11.
Yeah, just don't go full RV, Eru.
No, sorry, man. Sorry.
But I mean, you look at this, and it is so obvious that it is shot underwater. Everything is moving with fluid-like motion, right? The Earth is not spinning at all. You can pick any reference point and watch it very closely. They
The
forgot to turn on
clouds never
Earth.
change. The clouds
Well,
never change shape.
yeah, and the clouds would be hard to see, but we should be able to see a 1,000-mile-an-hour rotation down there, and it's not happening anywhere. But everything about it is fluid, and then you have the motions of the little cables going off the side. It's like, what's causing them to do that? What force is causing these motions that we're seeing in this video?
And what's that thing falling? That's not falling at the speed that it should be.
I don't even know what that's supposed to be.
You drop something, but if you drop something, wouldn't it?
Oh, it says
No, because
accidentally lost a shield in space. Yeah.
yeah, but that is supposedly orbiting at the orbital speeds. You know that object supposedly is maintain the inertia from the 27,000
Why the
kilometers per
falling?
hour
Then why would it be falling?
because he pushed it down. You didn't
Yeah,
see that,
but
he
it should
just-
be pulling. It should be
That is
pulling
nice.
away.
Wait, he
It
pushed
should-
it away from him. Why would he push it away from him?
That's what they have to say.
There's an accident.
because
supposedly.
yeah, he's Santa Claus, man, sending the gift
Through
to
the
the
chimney
child.
from up there. That's a lot of points.
Yeah, look at this. This should have been going that way, right? This should have been going the complete opposite direction. Yeah, it has a momentum, but remember the ISS, the second, you are no longer in that momentum and you're pushing it away and it is now on a different vector. It should not be staying up with the ISS. It just shouldn't be happening. Not only that, it shouldn't be falling that slowly. And the Earth should be turning. And. I mean, this is so phony. It's unbelievable.
Can I ask another space question that I just don't get? Because it's still
Okay.
not okay. So maybe one of you guys can help me out here. So let's say that we're on Earth and we take off. It's a ball Earth. It's gravity. It's everything wonderful that Neil deGrasse Tyson masturbates over. So let's say we're on that ball and we take off in our little craft and we go up in space. And let's say we fly, let's say 50,000 miles away from the Earth. And we put on our brakes and come to a stop, or we slow down as much as you can, your thrusters and everything. So when you get as slow as you can get, you're still traveling the 66,000 miles per hour with the Earth. You would still be carried around the sun, because I don't understand how you're connected, how they have this thing that you keep your momentum, you keep your speed.
This is where the stupid reference frame argument comes in, Jeran. That is absurd. Well, you're in the same reference frame, so it carries everything with you. That's nonsense.
It's just
totally
another way
is.
of saying that we don't move.
Yeah, exactly. And look at this thing. This thing falling at 9.8 meters per second or even 8 meters per second should be going supersonic towards the ground, and it's not. I mean, this is such a terrible, terrible piece of footage for proof, the ISS. It's unbelievable.
Huh.
And again, look at these fluid motions of the cables.
And again, the problem with this is that I cannot believe nothing that is still in the screen, because this is complete. You can produce this. You can produce this with computer graphics. So when I see this type of things, at least in my way of understanding and presenting to people what's the problem, or better say, why I don't trust in this type of images, I have already here in the new presentation. Can I make my screenshot once again?
Certainly.
Yeah, real quick, Eru. I just want to say
Okay.
that, even if they make one perfect with no errors, it's exactly how it would be if Earth was a sphere and they nailed everything.
Yeah, it doesn't make it true.
Hey,
Does
Kyle,
it make
how you
any
doing,
difference?
buddy?
No, not
Doing well. Doing well.
What's up, Kyle?
Hi, Kyle.
Hello.
There's
Hey,
too many errors. People have asked me, like, what would it take? And I say, at this point, it's going to take a lot. If you would have asked me 5 years ago, maybe those things would be less. But as much as I've seen, and them have to lie about us in the movie, and then have to take down websites and take down Bob's Wins and take down, what are they called? Planetarium sites and everything they can do.
They didn't take down Bob Wins, did they?
No, not Bob's Wins, the other one.
Okay. Earth
Earth
Null
Null
School.
Yeah.
I was
So
gonna
just
say,
all
the
these other things. I mean,
bastards.
they had to erase all the comments that were in the Guinness Book of World Records under Suranu fines, because people were commenting on, how is this guy a world record holder for this and this and this? He's been caught lying in court. He's admitted to lying and faking accidents, faking things for TV. And he's the guy, of course, that they say did this north-south circumnavigation. So it's like everything that I've seen. And then we saw that guy get the record. Remember the ZQ pilot for circumnavigation, when all he did was go to the South Pole and then fly back to Brazil. So he certainly didn't circumnavigate, yet he has the record. So as all these things start adding up, it's like somebody will show me a so-called video from Antarctica. And I'm like, okay, great. Where was that in 2015 when all I could find was faked footage, cut footage on the, So yeah, once Flat Earth came out in 2015, 2016, so it doesn't surprise me that then some videos came out. So it's just, with all that, you're right, Zach, is that you're going to need a lot more work than just, they're going to have to build back their trust, right? So you don't get trust from me when you say you have a 24-hour live stream and I go look at it and it's every 45 minutes, it goes out for 30 minutes and you tell me it's on the dark side of Earth. So you're going to have to do a lot to earn that back. And they haven't even begun. Maybe start with going to the moon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well said, Jeran.
Yeah, and in this case, for example, if you take a look in the past and trying to bring in our present, you need to take into account why, as in the parallel, if you draw a line and you have computer graphics and then space, it's impossible to, or at least not impossible, but it's really, really weird that in the same evolution of the computer graphics also evolve the way that we see Earth from outside, from space. Because if you take a look here, this is in the 70s, and the people believe this. Of course, they say this is just a depiction showing how the mission is going to be when they went to the moon, etc., etc. But they use like a real photo of stratospheric balloons combined. This is a analog composition. You don't need digital composition to fake some of the shot of the moon landing. You just need layering things, and they have it from Disney Science 45. Sorry, 50, 55. And then, for example, this is the 80s. Where is the brightness, the glowing atmosphere, the aurora borealis? We don't have anything. It's just completely plain things. Look at this. This is even doesn't
Those
have
came with
any.
global warming, Euro.
Of course, man. You don't have parallax. You don't have depth. This is just sometimes a drawing, sometimes it's a printed picture. And then in the 90s, we start having a more vivid type of video, because maybe that was the time when they start using video from a stratospheric balloon, a stratospheric platform, etc., etc. But still, we don't have any glow, we don't have any parallax, we don't have any, it's something fake in this type of movement, in this type of time lapse. And then suddenly, because this is just the 90s, here is for me, this is a real video filming by a stratospheric balloon of the dusk or sunset in our lower atmosphere. Then we have the 2000, still computer graphics was a crap. Look at this type of images, it's really very, very poor. This composition is completely insane. I don't know how anybody approved this before sending it to the media. It's completely insane.
It's
And
like
then
spinning things out of the space shuttle, the craft.
and then boom, 2015, the first time that the Earth from outer space start showing us the aurora borealis, the lightning storm, the city light. You're not gonna find any city lights in the video from 80s, 90s, 70s. Just you need to wait until 2015.
Well, when we did Globebusters Live in 2015 and 2016, they never had a night shot that showed city lights, ever.
Exactly. So
they really
you
don't
need
anymore much.
Yeah, man, you need to take that into consideration. You cannot believe what they present today because it's not consistent with 45, 50 years ago. It's not consistent. This is a complete garbage made by ZGI. And then
That
about
curve is very inconsistent too. Just like it's all over the place. Sometimes there's a lot of curve, and sometimes there's a little bit of curve, and
yeah. And
Why
then
can't-
you have this. Then you have this. I mean, it doesn't matter how much you're gonna show me. I mean, we see a scuba drive, a scuba tank in the ISS, and then based on Newtonian mechanics, you cannot explain this phenomena, the retimer bubble, because this is a bubble that change direction. First speed up, then slow down, and then rise up again. In the vacuum of space, you cannot have that behavior with any type of particle.
You know where you can is in a pool.
It's a pool. And then
That's
you
right.
have and then you have that confirmation, because again, like our friend show us,
solar wind, right?
yeah, man, you have particles or dust or whatever. It doesn't matter if it's a bubble. Could be a piece of dust change in direction.
Air
And this
conditioning
is-
off gassing from the ISS. Come on.
Yeah, this is our emission feed. This is a mission video feed. This is just underwater training. You cannot have both. You cannot have, in the mission and the swimming pool the same behavior, because it's not the same medium. And then you have the last one is this. You have the movement of the cable before the foot touch it. That is because you are pulling some fluid. You are
Pushing water
inside a-
towards it. Yep.
Exactly. So again, that is one example, and this is the other one. Look at this part here. That part is moving the cable before touching it. So that is all you need. That is all you need to understand that this is, for example, the type of image, a video feed that you're going to get if you go, for example, underwater. This is ISS. No, this is ISS. This is underwater camera going to petroleum oil. And you have the same type of illumination.
And they
The
can
dark.
actually distill the water. They can actually have completely filtered water, whereas the ocean
Exact.
is not going to.
Yeah, but I just compare in terms of the movement
That's
of the
hilarious.
particles, the lighting, the visuals
And
behind
we've already
the
seen
visual
Bob showed it the other
communication.
day. there's green screens that they're using in the pool, in the practice pool.
Yes.
In their control center. So what the hell are they doing with green screens? Why would you ever need that when you're
How
training
dare
to be
you?
an astronaut? There's so
This
many
is some
things.
of the best like bubbles in space footage I've ever seen. This is awesome.
Yeah, dude, I will say this is what Kai said woke her up was the inconsistencies with stuff like this.
You know,
I think this is awesome.
What should
This is oceans. This is from the ocean. Okay, I mean
The one on the left, yes.
the left part is not the ISS. Huh?
Yeah, that's why it's so hilarious because it looks exactly the same as pretty much exactly the same.
Look at that little rust stuff on the thing, and I always see rust on the ISS. Always that little brown.
And sea plankton. Can't forget about that.
Yeah, and then we found sea plankton. Why would they ever?
Man.
When things like that come out, you're like, what? But here's what should really wake people up. Think about this. When I bring up things like mirror flashes or laser tests, the globe zealots, they want to come back and ask me what was the temperature, what was the humidity of every 10 feet across the water, what was the tide level, what was the refraction, exact time and place, and who was the scientist that was there with me. But when it comes to their evidence, all they need is me saying interesting.
Interesting. Yep. That's it.
That's it. I proved it.
Yep. A 15-degree-per-hour drift.
Nobody
Thanks,
cares
Bob.
about the refraction there. Nobody cares about the humidity. Nothing. Just I proved it. That was it. So that gives you a heads up of what kind of evidence the entire body of science looks for when things fit their preconceived worldview versus what they go after if it doesn't.
We do the same thing with gravity, right? It's
Yep.
like, dude, I get questions like, oh yeah, and where's your formula? Where's your equation? How do you explain this? What about this? Well, then how does it work over here? Then how do you explain different weight distribution? What about this? Like everything. I answer all the questions. Give papers, demonstrations, experiments for all of it, right? They think they desperately rack their brain for any little thing they can say doesn't make sense in my theory of electrostatics,
And
right?
you told him, Austin, you told him straight up, look, you just replace little g with a, right?
Yeah.
Like 5 times.
That's all you have to do.
And wait, but then when it comes to relativity, right, and the fact that space and time bend and warp, that all goes out the window. You don't need none of that. We don't got to ask any questions. We don't got. You don't have to prove anything.
Richard Dawkins says we don't have to have evidence for evolution because we know that it happened. That's his quote.
That's basically that's exactly the train of thought it is. Yep. It's like, relativity has to exist because the Earth's a ball, so therefore it has to be.
When Einstein says we can't measure that the Earth spins or moves, however, it does go around the sun.
Yeah, exactly. And then they tell you that we're cherry picking because we're like, Einstein said you can't prove that the Earth is spinning.
Contract.
Like, no, you're cherry picking. No, he's still saying that. What are you talking about?
You brought that up because I always bring this up too. That when somebody says that you're cherry picking, or it has to be that you're saying something that's opposite of what the truth is. Like, or opposite of what they were trying to say. If you're saying basically the same thing, that's not cherry picking a quote. You're saying
exactly. Like that's their only response to that one. But if we were cherry picking, right? Basically, what they're saying is we would have to be claiming Einstein thought that the Earth was stationary,
right?
And then we left out the end where he said that's not what we're doing. We're saying even Einstein, who thought it was spinning around the sun, said you can't prove it.
Right.
So if the quote says that very thing,
we're not changing the context of anything.
By any optical experiment, but he has another quote where he says terrestrial experiment.
He was wrong. He was dead wrong. We can prove it by an optical experiment. That's what the interferometer experiments do. That's what Nichols and Gale did. But it proved that the ether was turning, not the Earth, because, like I said,
right. But they need the ether, right? So that's why he's saying if we accept this, then we can't do that.
That's right. That's why they had to get rid of the ether. That's exactly why.
But it's funny because, like, okay, so Einstein even has another quote where he says, no terrestrial experiment can prove it. So it's two different quotes, right? But they only have the script response of out of context tree picking. He said optical and blah, but it's two quotes. And the second one, the terrestrial experiment, was cited by Einstein in 2007. By Stephen Hawking in 2007, his book, like, it's like a stubbornly persistent illusion or something like that.
Right.
So
like the Foucault's pendulum, which everybody says that proves it, but it's like, no, Einstein knew about that.
Yeah, he said nothing on the Earth can prove the Earth is moving. He said that point blank in 5 different ways.
They're like, nope, it's the Foucault's pendulum proves it. It's like, then
dude, Jared, you hear what he said? All you have is quotes, and he started the debate with a quote from Einstein.
Let me get my opening thing up here. I mean, this is ridiculous. This footage here is hilarious to me. These paper bags flying around in space.
I just think it's crazy. I think the only thing we're fighting for, I think everyone on the panel would agree, is to kind of show people that haven't fully seen it, right? I mean,
look at that hanging balls. That is the gravity. There you have gravity inverted. It must be like a light storm, lightning storm in the moon.
Yeah, I used to think I could convince
Change
everybody
polarity.
or change people's minds, and now it's just like, no, give everybody an opportunity, because I never knew that there was a question, right? In my 30s or whatever. So once I did, and once I looked into it, then we've gotten where we've got. But everybody deserves to at least hear, hey, there's a chance that we've been lied to about where we live. If they choose to dig their feet into the ground and yell and scream and call people idiots and say that you're a retard for looking into flat Earth, then that's on them. There's no requirement of us to go hold people and bring them along.
Right, but think about how lame it would be if like McLooney Tunes and Fight the Tight Shirt were like in the chat hanging out with us. Like if you think about it, we don't want you wouldn't want to hang out with them anyway.
I don't want that guy to become a flat earther and make flat
exactly.
Not at all. No, they hate it. They hate, and it's like you said. I don't remember if it was you who said it, but his name is Fight the Flat Earth. It's like that's not, it's the least scientific thing I've ever heard. He's fighting against something. I'm going to fight against the flat Earth. No matter what,
like it's the plague or something.
Yeah, no matter what you bring, it's wrong. And this is why his crowd and his audience loves it. So he can go and have debates against whoever he wants and just lie, because the people watching are rooting for him. So they just look right past the lies. Like, oh, yeah, sure, whatever he says.
Yeah, because they need
I
something
wonder
to
if he
tell them
believes
that
the science proves anything.
No, probably not.
Yeah, man, it's just so funny to like really pin them on that. It's just like, do you believe science proves anything? And you can show them all the different articles that say science doesn't prove anything. So,
well, they'll say that science doesn't prove things, but then what's funny is we were all told that the Earth is a ball and that science has proved it, and that Neil deGrasse Tyson says that science doesn't care what you think. So it's hilarious because
it's just really funny to get them to admit that there's no proof of a globe.
Yeah, I know. I say it all the time. When they say science is proving, I'm like, okay, so you agree that you can't prove the globe then?
Oh, they'll spiral.
Triggered.
I have that one little clip of that video. You're talking to that guy debating him, and he's going crazy about the redshift. And you're like, dude, calm down about your religion. He's like, I'm not calm down. I'm not like losing his mind. It's so funny. But yeah, it's the proving thing. They hate that, but they have to say it. It's just kind of funny to watch them walk through or jump through hoops. They just have to duck and dive. And I mean, imagine being somebody who has to argue on behalf of space travel at this point, after everything that you've seen and these videos of these asteroids. Imagine you have to watch that and believe it. I mean, it's got to be a miserable existence.
It's embarrassing, right? It's like, say you have a girlfriend and you're not very good with girls. So you're like really lucked up with this girlfriend and you pay for all her stuff. So maybe that's why she stays, whatever, who knows. But anyway, so you're dating this girl and she's clearly cheating on you. And she's cheating on you like 5 times. You keep catching her cheat on you. And then your friends are hanging out with you like, look, man, I got some bad news. You're one of my boys hung out with your girl, and I mean, I got a video of it and everything. And the dude sits there frantically something like that. Oh, her face isn't in the video. You can't prove it. I don't think so. No, that's not really. You would just be like, you're really weird. Just keep dating her, bro. I don't care. Like that's how I look at this.
Yeah, no doubt. It's crazy. Well, when the Globers got to the point where they had to say crap like, well, we don't see the geometric horizon, we just see an apparent horizon. That right there tells you that they were finished. They had nothing else, because that's all they had is a geometric horizon.
Because sometimes we'll go back to it when they need it, but not when they don't. If it disproves them, then we're wrong. It's a very easy thing to have science as your backing. Really simple. You can really get away with
not so much these days, I think.
You're right. That's actually a good point. Now it's getting a little harder. It's a little bit
getting a lot harder, and that's why we are pursuing a model. That's why we're showing, okay, this is the premise of how the flat Earth model works with the Gaussian surfaces. And the more I look at the Gleason's map, the more I am convinced that it is really, really quite accurate. Did you guys see the video that Flat Earth Banjo did with the analysis by Q and Fee?
I don't think I did. I'm always looking at those astronauts now and thinking they've got a bunch of magnets attached to them, but it's just me. We'll see. Anyway, Bob, I am putting a link in the description. If you can play it now or later. It's just a funny video that somebody made of Kent Hovind talking to Professor Dave. I just think it's hilarious because this just shows you, it goes off the topic of the show, which is that they put themselves in this box. And Ken Hovind's asking him, like, did we come from sponges? Do you think you're related to sponges? And Professor Dave's like, yes. He's like, all right. And then do you think you're related to a strawberry? Yeah, just watch this. You'll die laughing. It's probably the funniest thing I've ever seen.
I'll pull it up right now. Hang on a second.
hilarious.
I already have it here. I don't know if you want to. I can play it.
I can play it. I got it.
Okay, I stop sharing.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. There you have it.
Oh.
All right.
Not on the
And
screen. Oh.
No, Bob
I see
wants
you
to
brought it
take
up. Gotcha,
control
gotcha.
of the ISS.
yeah, I'm a control freak, man.
Yeah.
Strawberries are delicious, though. I'm saying.
Yeah, they are. They're good.
Okay, here we go.
Do you believe we all came from sponges, Dave? Do you believe this textbook is right?
Yes.
I think you are much more simple-minded than you realize. Let me show you the picture here.
Really?
Burns his ass.
This textbook shows, and I got all the textbooks beside me, that a human and a bird have a common ancestor, which was an amphibian. Let's see. Let me find a family tree that they show here, because I mentioned about the frog and the prince. Okay, they have these textbooks with these charts all the time, showing all these animals going back to a common ancestor. Do you believe you have a common ancestor with a strawberry, Dave?
Yes.
Okay, you're welcome to believe that. That's not science. That's a religion.
Yes, it is science.
Nobody's
It
ever seen a
absolutely is
strawberry,
science.
Dave. Nobody's ever seen a strawberry produce a non-strawberry. You might get a bigger strawberry. Or
That's
half a
not
but it's
what
still a strawberry.
evolution says happens. Nothing in evolution ever says that dogs produce non-dogs. Nowhere is that said. What does that have to do with anything?
Dave, calm down. Let's take that statement. Nowhere does evolution say dogs produce non-dogs. Is an amoeba a dog?
No.
Just yes or no. Okay. Did the dog come from an amoeba?
What? They had a common ancestor.
Dave, come on, yes
They had
or
a
no?
common
Did the dog
ancestor.
come from an amoeba?
What does this have to do with anything?
You're not
What does this
asking
have to do
a
with
question,
anything?
son.
It did not
It's
come
everything
from an
to do with
amoeba.
everything.
No, it did not come from an amoeba. What does that matter?
Well, the charts in the book show the amoeba turning into all the creatures, including the
No,
dog.
they don't. Show me a book that shows that, Ken. No book shows that. Show me
There it is.
anything coming from an amoeba.
He can say whatever he wants.
Is an amoeba a eukaryote?
A eukaryote simply means the cell contains a nucleus that's bound in a membrane. And I'll use the same terminology you've been using. In your simple mind, you think because they're all eukaryotes, therefore they're all related. Couldn't that not be of common design? You know, all the cars on the highway have metal in them, iron.
You're just using the exact same analogy. Why are you talking about cars? They're not biological organisms. This is not a valid
There we go.
analogy.
Oh,
You're saying that there's something designed, therefore everything is designed.
No. Adding biological ability to reproduce makes it 1 trillion times more complicated, much harder for you.
They're eukaryotes, Kent. They're all
Did the
eukaryotes.
protista turn to a pine tree and a human? This chart says they did. This is what kids have to learn in school. You do believe a protista became a human and a pine tree.
Over 3 billion years. Yeah.
What number did you say?
Huh?
Okay, just
I don't
admit
remember the
it.
number he said.
If you want to
How many
believe something
billion
that dumb, that's fine.
I think he said a billion.
Okay, I was going to say, because I think I used to think evolution took place over the 4.54 billion years. They actually only claim 1 billion. Before that, there was no life.
Oh, okay.
According to them.
Well, you know, it's their story. They can change it.
Well, it's like I even
Yeah,
thought 4.54 wasn't enough to get to from an amoeba to a human anyway. So if it's only 1 billion, good luck. Especially if after 67 million years ago, all the animals got wiped out or anything of any good size. And so all that was left was like a badger. So a badger had to turn into a human in some 65 million years. Good luck.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
One animal has to give birth to a different kind of animal
not the way
in
it
order for
works. You don't
evolution to take
understand.
No,
place.
you don't understand it.
You don't get it. You don't understand it. It's over time.
What's
No.
over time? You just don't understand. What does that have to do with anything?
When do we call it a new species? You don't understand. Why don't we find any fossils of these intermediate? Where's the giraffe with the half neck? Why don't we have that skeleton?
Yeah.
Straight to long neck giraffes. All right, I got it.
When are we going to get a real dinosaur, a full dinosaur skeleton? Where's that?
My
at?
favorite argument is evolution is if it's creating organs, like if say an organism needs all these different organs to survive, a lung, a heart, a brain.
Right.
So if it's just developing one little piece at a time, like does it develop like all the little pieces of the lung at the same time or just one at a time? Then how does it sustain to have the
What about
next
the reproduction system? You only have one life to make it work.
Dude, it doesn't make any sense because it's so intricate and it has so many organs and intricacies within the organs. And if it's just one little piece at a time, then it could never create a lung. It could never create a brain, nor could it ever survive to go on to adapt with a brain. So
Feel
it's
bad for
stupid.
the eyes, in the couple whatever it would be 100,000 years that the eye didn't actually work yet. It was just on its way to working.
Dude, it literally
for like
doesn't make any sense. I've never heard anyone rebut that.
No, they can't.
Yeah, that is some major evolutionary planning when you think about it. Like you said, Jeran, it had to form all this stuff before the thing could even start to work. So for 100,000 years, you're developing something for nothing.
It's going to be
couldn't
hard
survive to keep developing, though. That's the problem.
Right? How are you going to eat if you don't have a digestive system?
Exactly, or a brain or a heart.
On its way, it's coming. We're gonna get it one day.
Sandcastles don't build themselves.
Oh man, yeah. In every single walk of life, if you see information, it means intelligence. Every single time, there's not one example of information not coming from intelligence. And then if you ask an evolutionist that, they'll say yes, there is evolution. So again, if that's well, then it needs to be somewhere else. Nothing else catastrophic happens and turns into life and information and intelligence. No way.
Dude, I was talking to an atheist evolutionist the other day. I'm like, so if I took the most intricate watch ever made, I took every little intricate little piece apart and I put it in a mason jar and started shaking it, you think eventually it'd make that watch? He's like, yeah, of course.
In a couple
Oh
billion.
my God, you're an idiot, bro. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
In a couple billion, yes.
Yep. That's, I always use the Scrabble factory, if it blew up and all the pieces came down and wrote a Shakespeare novel. It's like,
In fact,
right.
I wish we could argue against the people like, what's his name? Brian Cox, who says, if you had an infinite amount of monkeys and they had an infinite amount of typewriters that they would eventually type Shakespeare. I still don't even think that's true. I mean, I guess when you're using the word infinite, then everything has to be included. But anything less than infinite, they would never. It takes intelligence to write, not just random letters thrown together over and over and over again.
Well, how is that intellectually superior to the gap of the god of the gaps? Like that's what they're kind of fighting against, the god of the gaps. But that's the same thing.
Everything. I mean, I've heard Rogan say, Joe Rogan has sat across from somebody and said that in somewhere else in the universe, there's the exact life that he's living now, except for at that moment he's going to veer a little bit. But he believes that.
He has to because he has to. Infinite universe is the new norm because of the fine tuning
Rick and Morty.
There's no other excuse for the fine tuning.
Exactly. Did you know when they do the math for the universe, they just skip the Earth because the Earth just doesn't fit into their probabilistic equations? They literally just skip the Earth. They just factor it in as if it's not actually the Earth.
It's like an anomaly.
Yeah, like they don't even account for it in their mathematical probabilistic equation. That's too funny to me. Like it's just so stupid. It's all so stupid.
It's really bad.
Yep.
And they just acknowledge it. We could have some conversations with them. I mean, that's the thing. I'm not against having. That's why I went into Red's Rhetoric's chats when I was first starting, and went into Sean Huffer's chats, and because I thought that we could have a conversation about it, and realized quickly, oh no, you can't.
They're religious zealots, bro.
Yeah, they just will not hear it. They won't even. They'll just make fun of you and even pretend to be your friends and be like, "Hey, you want to come on my channel? We'll talk about it publicly." Sure. Then as soon as you get there, they're calling you names. Like, what happened to the person I was just talking to for 10 minutes before this? It's
the
just
depth of their arguments come down to, well, you just don't understand, and that's it.
Yeah, we never understand anything.
Of course not.
So guys, a question. This video that I'm playing right now that is various shots of the local sun. What do ballers say about this? How do they explain this away? Any clue?
It's an apparent sun, I guess. I don't know what they say actually.
I mean, I've thought about it. How there could, what optical characteristics could be at play here to do that? It's like
I want to know
there's
how
no way.
that cloud. Imagine you traveled 93 million miles and you get there, and that fucking little cloud. Sorry, that cloud is what blocks you.
Yeah, I need 10 push-ups, man. That was a weak word.
Yeah, I know.
I think if the cloud was in those clouds, then we'd have problems with planes bumping into the sun and stuff like that. I think it's really just because of the thickness of the cloud. You've got some really thick clouds in front of the sun, and then it gets lighter, and the lighter stuff doesn't permeate, or the sun has an easier time permeating the lighter clouds, and so the light ends up penetrating and ends up becoming an illusion where it looks that way.
Yeah, like I don't think
from
that I don't think the
93
sun's
million
like
miles away, though, Kyle.
yeah.
I'm not
Like, I don't think
claiming
the
the sun
sun's
is
literally
93 million
sitting in
miles
the
away by any means.
No.
I'm just saying that it has to do with the brightness of the sun being able to permeate different parts of the clouds according to the density of the clouds.
Yeah, it's not literally sitting in the clouds,
I don't
right?
know
Like
that
some
one,
flat
maybe.
earthers say that, but it
Look at
does. It
that.
is a problem for their
I
paradigm.
haven't seen that one. What is that? That's the cloud supposed to be. The sun's supposed to be under the clouds. That's not.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's the hot spot, and the sun's above it.
Well, you see, I think the sun's not a physical thing that we like. I don't think it has a physical actual location. So, I don't think
I know,
we
but
have
the
a open
footballers
book.
do think it is, and they
That's
think
right.
it's
That's right.
93 million miles away. So what I want to know is how do they explain this?
Yeah, I agree. I don't know how they would explain it. I just hate when flat earthers say the sun's in the clouds.
Well, with my model, my sun is on the other side of the firmament.
I agree.
Like a source sun, you mean?
Well, it's within. It's in one of the chambers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not. I don't think the clouds are on the other side of the firmament. The clouds are on our side of the firmament. And so,
Yes.
yeah, that's kind of where my take is on that.
But they don't say that the sun we see is like an apparent location from a laser in a firmament. You know, they make very specific claims. I don't. They will just say the word optical illusion and refraction though, and they don't have to say anything specific. And then they're good. So.
Dark energy, and we should just start saying that when they ask how does the sun and moon stay up there, and how does we'll just say it's dark spin and dark lift.
Yeah, just say dark. You just can't find it because it doesn't interact with the electromagnetic spectrum, so it's dark.
But we can tell by its effects that it's there.
Because the sun and moon are up there, right? Come on.
That's what their evidence is. Well, we can tell that the dark matter's up there because of its effects on everything else.
All right. So next thing I want to go to is I sent this to you last night, Austin, because one of the things that he said was, when he was talking about the weakness of the electrostatic field, and I said, well, what about? Oh, Zach dropped out. I said I was trying to get it through in chat and say, well, what about NASA saying that they're tethering stuff, right? They're supposedly tethering using electrostatic energy to places that are out beyond 300 miles. How does that work, right? So I'm going to play this and then a little part after it. But I hope he sees this. I really do. So let me play it. I know there'll be sound in a second, guys.
Hello, my name is Jack Schlant. In this quick 2-minute video, I'm going to give an overview of electrodynamic tethers. I'm going to start with what is an electrodynamic tether, talk about the basics and the general mechanics of these devices, and then I'm going to briefly touch on some of the many applications of electrodynamic tethers. Okay, so electrodynamic tethers are a type of space tether that takes advantage of a planet's magnetic field to generate a current and drive some resistive load. In the diagram, we can see a simple model of an EDT. The tether itself is just a very long conducting wire, usually on the order of several kilometers in length. And it's attached to some sort of space vessel, usually a satellite. And the basic principle is that electrons are collected from the upper atmosphere of Earth, in this case, onto the bare conducting tether and then forced down through the wire by the virtue of the direction of Earth's magnetic field. And they travel down through the wire and eventually get expelled as free electrons again at the emitter. Thus, we have an electric potential generated across the tether, which can be as large as hundreds or thousands of kilowatts for sophisticated designs, and produced at a pretty low cost.
Okay, so now if you guys remember, this is exactly how the spiders do ballooning, right? They are casting the silk up to a place where even if it's only a meter higher or something like that, they are able to take that difference of potential and use it as a source of propulsion, right? So this makes complete and perfect sense. Now, NASA kind of hijacked this in a partial truth because, yes, it's possible to do this, but it is not possible to do it at the altitudes that they're saying that it is. So, again, half-truth NASA. That's, they take something that is definitely true here on Earth and they say, well, yeah, it works the same way in space, but it most certainly does not. So let's continue.
Electrodynamic tethers can be used for many different applications. Broadly, EDTs can operate as electrical generaters, converting kinetic energy to electrical energy, or motors, converting electrical energy to kinetic energy. Because of this, one main application of EDTs is in something called tether propulsion systems, which have the ability to change the orbit of a spacecraft. Tether propulsion systems are seen as a cheaper alternative to conventional rocket thrusters, active once the payload being transported into space has reached low Earth orbit. EDTs of this kind can break or accelerate the satellite they're attached to by applying a direct current to the tether. This and many other applications of EDTs were designed using knowledge of the Lorentz force, which governs the total EMF exerted on a charged particle moving through an electric field and magnetic field, and is in the direction of the cross product of the E field and the B field. EDTs have a long list of both current and potential future applications. We touched on the first three in this list: power generation, electrodynamic thrusters, and altitude stabilization. It also can be used in the fields of radiation shielding, communication antennae, low gravity laboratory simulations, and space transfer vehicle launch. In the scope of scientific knowledge, EDTs and space tethers in general are a relatively new field of research. Though EDTs have been successfully demonstrated in several space missions, notably the TSS-1, TSS-1R, and Plasma Motor Generator missions. TSS just stands for Tethered Space Station. There's much about EDTs that remains to be optimized and implemented to full potential.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty neat.
So, and then I'll play this here in a minute, but so basically here they are, they're using an actual real thing, but completely lying about, where it actually works, which to me is, dishonest to say the least. But, and this of course is how they are actually controlling the balloons, right? The balloons that they're putting up in the different altitudes. Like if you lay out a flat Earth map, you find that there are counter-rotating circles going up all the way up in different directions, and all they have to do is change the static potential charge on those balloons, and they can navigate up and down through the different levels, and that's how they are able to, basically navigate those computers or satellites. I mean, so and then here's NASA's take on it, and here's how they say it works.
I mean, NASA uses electromagnets and this track to help them develop new ways to propel a spacecraft into orbit. And you know what? NASA's also using electricity, magnetism, and tethers to help them propel spacecraft already in orbit.
Wait, you said tethers, like tetherball with the pole and the rope attached to the ball?
Absolutely. Some other examples of tethers besides tetherball are the elastic string that keeps a paddle ball on a paddle, a fishing line that keeps the fish on a pole, and even a leash that keeps a dog close to its owner.
Maybe you can think of some more examples.
NASA's latest space adventure has gone horribly wrong in Central Australia. A giant helium balloon and its state-of-the-art cargo has crashed on takeoff, smashing into cars and sending onlookers running for their lives. Anna Henderson reports.
As the giant helium balloon was launched into the air, its precious cargo became a high-speed projectile. Unexpected strong winds pushed the 2-ton platform of scientific instruments off course and onto a path of destruction.
Wow.
Maybe you can think of some more examples. NASA has been using tethers and conducting experiments in space for years.
You're right. In fact, in the 1960s, the Gemini astronauts used tethers to connect their spacecraft to another unoccupied rocket.
Yeah, what was it that I think it was Skylab maybe that showed the tether, and the tether actually broke, and they said, well, what are we seeing here? And there was this tether, something that looked like a snake that was all coiled up and it was floating around in space, but there were all these little Pac-Man little dudes running around it, right?
STS 187, something like
187?
that. Yeah, something like around that. If you want to, I can find it and paste the link.
Okay, yeah, if you have a minute. But yeah, so it's funny. And they showed that, and it's like, what in the world was that stuff in the foreground? Just another question of these little Pac-Men. You guys seen what I'm talking about? Have you seen it, Austin?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you.
I don't know.
Oh, you got to see this.
Yeah, give me
definitely.
one moment.
How about you, Jeran? Have you seen it?
Yeah, the ones like all the little fish, whatever they are.
Yeah, well, they look like Pac-Men to me. They
Yeah.
do. They look like the little pies with slice out of them.
Yeah.
The freaking weirdest thing
No,
I've
never seen this.
Yes,
you're
I
gonna
have it.
dig
I have
this.
it.
Okay, let me
I
play
have
the
it
rest
right
of this,
here.
and then I'll grab it.
Okay, I'm gonna paste it in the chat.
60s. Far out, man. What?
It's so cringe, bro.
Yeah, totally.
Over the years, NASA has learned that connecting two spacecraft together opens up a whole new world of possibilities, like propelling a spacecraft. One person who knows all about tethers in space is physicist Les Johnson, and he works at NASA Marshall Space Flight Center.
Thanks, Van. We're testing a new kind of propulsion system for space that doesn't need any rocket
Hey,
engines or fuel. Instead, it'll use the Earth's magnetic field to help push or pull on the spacecraft.
All magnetic objects form invisible lines of force that extend between the poles of the object.
And right there is where the honesty ends. Yes, they're using the magnetic field, but unfortunately, that magnetic field cannot induce a charge into anything because there is not enough particulate matter in deep space. Therefore, it ain't going to work. That's
Correct.
exactly why ion propulsion will never work. And it's just BS completely.
A magnetic field is the space around a magnet where you feel its force. Magnetic field lines extend and radiate between the Earth's north and south poles and between the poles of the magnet.
Basically, the Earth's magnetic field works with a special type of wire or conductor called an electrodynamic tether to push or pull on the object. The electrons that make up the electric current flowing through the conductor will experience a force when they move through a magnetic field like the Earth's. Since they're trapped in the conducting wire tether, the force will be applied to the tether and whatever is attached to it. Depending upon the direction in which the current is flowing, this force can be a push or a pull, either lowering or raising a spacecraft's orbit.
Yep. All right. So let me go ahead and go over to Iru's link here. Now this is just weird, guys.
Camera Bravo constantly on the tether. Unfortunately, we don't see the tip of the boom, but in a few seconds you'll see the tether break. And this one, of course, was not attended. It just recorded. It could not be bumped either.
So I don't know. They're claiming that this thing is the tether, but it looks more like a chemtrail than a tether to me. I don't know what the hell this is supposed to be, but tether, I don't think so. But let's continue.
We'll record steadily the whole break and coil back to the tether.
Copy, Claude.
We go.
Okay, now it looks a little more like a rope or something.
Yeah.
Umbilical cord there.
Yeah, but in a minute here is where it gets really weird. This has always blown my mind, trying to figure out what the hell is it we're looking at here, which is coming up.
The satellite.
Well, if it had to break, it did it in the right place.
Do you see these little flashy things coming around? We're going to get some good close-ups of those.
Commander Andy Allen reported earlier that the tether apparently broke inside the boom in Columbia's cargo bay with only about 10 meters of tether left attached in the cargo bay.
We're going to downlink some camera A to you.
Okay, let's go for some camera A here. Now watch this stuff. Look at all these things.
Yeah, first of all, you need to assume that they are in space.
I'm sorry,
Super.
Eric? Say again?
No, I mean, first of all, you need to assume that this is film in outer space, which I doubt it, but
No, it's more like a pool to me. Almost like
Yeah.
they're aqua organisms. But watch when they zoom in on them. This is so weird. Look at these things.
Jellyfish.
It almost looks like something underneath a microscope.
Yeah.
And this is supposed to be like on a macro scale in space. So
Yep. That tether is supposedly miles long, right? Which means that these
What?
things are not small. So what the hell are they?
Dude, this is clearly something small, though.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. What?
This takes bubbles in space to a whole other level.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm losing brain cells, bro. Yeah, this looks like it looks like a microscope. It doesn't look like anything miles
Bottom of the
long. I
ocean.
don't know.
Looks like the ocean footage we were just looking at.
Look at this thing. Look at this thing. It's got a little pike thing in the front of it.
That's a
Microscopes
starfish.
have those little needles in them too.
Yeah, it probably is a petri dish.
Dude, what
Yeah,
what
but
are those
this-
supposed to be in space, though?
Well, let's listen to them.
They're illuminated by the sun at such low angles.
Only back up a little bit.
A lot of things swimming in the foreground. Franklin, we see a long line.
Swimming?
A couple of star-like things and a lot of things swimming in the foreground. Can you describe
Swimming,
what you're
yes.
seeing?
Yeah, swimming in the foreground.
Is a tether, and there's a little bit of debris that kind of flies with us, and it's illuminated by the sun at such low angles. So there's a lot of stray light, and it's getting washed out quickly. But Claude is trying to do a quick, good job here adjusting the camera.
Look at that. What the hell is that?
Copy that.
Look at these
Isn't
things.
it
They look the
debris?
same.
You know, that's
Debris
just
and
about
They
hit
look
by
like
the sun.
living
the
organisms. They
tether
really
in the
do.
satellite with 12.
There's another one. Look at them. Look at them
Approximately
pulsing.
12
Dude, this looks like
That's
them
a
looking at
stellar
someone's
to it.
blood who took the shot under a microscope.
Columbia and the satellite now just passing over the west coast of northern Africa.
Oh, that's
Two
wild.
spacecraft now 90 nautical miles apart. Controllers for the satellite did have communications with it during the close pass between Columbia and the satellite.
I don't care who you are. That is just weird.
Columbia, Houston, that's a much better view, a lot more contrast visible. And how wide does that tether appear to be? It seems to resemble a much wider strand than we'd expect. Can you describe which way the satellite is visible on that strand?
Yeah, those are like inching their ways through, just like something you would see under a microscope.
Yeah, what is this over here? Is this supposed to be the Earth, or what is that
I don't know.
on the right? I don't even know what
Yeah.
that's supposed to be.
I don't know what any of this is supposed to be. I mean, yeah, I know the tether part, I guess, but this is just weird to me.
I know. I have spent hours looking at this going, wow, what the hell? You know, thinking that they must be some sort of UFOs, right? Back in the day.
Well, in a lot of YouTube channels,
Satellite
the
now.
UFO was presented as alien biology, because of course you cannot say that are spacecraft, because it is impossible to say this is in a spacecraft. But they start talking about some sort of biology in space, giant beings being carry, take a look to the space program and blah 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 blah.
Yeah. Truth Seeker 55 Main says that is from a microscope. I have seen the same thing in my microscope in water. I tend to agree with that. That's what I think it is too. It's some sort of a water organism.
The problem here is why NASA doesn't present us a full color image instead of that crap and black and white, and everything is crap in the space.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's a
I don't know.
microscope, bro.
It's crazy. I do not have an explanation, but
The question would be though, right? So if they're just looking at a microscope, why ever show that to us? That's basically what a Glober would say to me. They're like, yeah, I mean, that just shows that they're being legit, that they show something that looks that bad.
Might be why they show it, yeah.
Yeah,
I know it's real because it looks so fake, right?
It is good reverse psychology if anyone's being honest. If you're like, you had some master plan to deceive everyone with different pictures and videos, then why would you show such like crappy video? That I mean, you know, you see the argument though. I'm saying I hear it all the time.
Yep, no doubt. So Austin, this video, oh, whoops, that's not the right video. Let me copy at current time. Let me show you this one. This you should play this for Mr. Physicist guy and see what he says.
Explanation is adapted from Nobel Prize winning physicist Richard Feynman's lecture on physics, his section called Electricity in the Atmosphere. For every meter you go up in the air, the voltage increases by around 100 volts, or we could say around 100 volts per yard. We can draw these voltage increases using what are called equipotential lines. Notice that the ground is negative and the sky is positive with respect to each other. According to Feynman, this extends upward to 50 kilometers, or 31 miles. Where the air is very conductive. This is the case
or
in
5
fair
million
weather.
volts.
In stormy weather, like a thunderstorm, things are quite different, and I won't talk about that here. But if this voltage exists between your head and the ground, why don't you get a shock? The reason is that your body is a good enough electrical conductor that standing on the ground, you're basically a part of the ground. The equipotential lines would look like this. There's still effectively 0 volts between the top of your head and ground. Similar effects happen with trees, buildings, and so on. What about the electric current? A downward electrical current exists and consists of positive ions, molecules or clumps of matter that have a positive charge. These ions are moving slowly toward the ground. The current density from these ions is very small, around 10 microamps or 10 picoamps, crossing each square meter or yard every second. So in any small area, there's not a lot of power. And that's the explanation about atmospheric electricity adapted from Feynman's lectures.
Yep. So, you know, how dare Feynman say that, right?
Yeah, said over 31 miles, extremely conductive too.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, we've got all kinds of evidence that there's some sort of barrier there at 62 miles that, you know, gives us our top Gaussian plate. So there you have it.
Yeah, that's why I mean, obviously any claim above like 60 miles, I'm not even like listening to at all. Like they claim the ionosphere like what stretches from 50 to 400 miles. Like, yeah, that's a cool story, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
When
The
are we gonna start
highest
seeing some
balloons
space lightning?
are like what, around 120,000 max is the highest we can get our helium balloons up to.
Yeah.
So yeah, unless it's from, you know, somebody that's either not in the argument or just like Dwayne Kellum, I love his stuff. I've asked him to look into the whole getting the electric field measurements, and he said it's a nightmare. And even like NASA themselves, it's hard to do. A lot of universities have written papers on how hard it is to measure the electric field at these high altitudes because so much is going on in it. Yeah, it starts, the air starts acting like it's a conductor, like a solid conductor. It's acting as one. It's not this molecule, this molecule, this molecule. It's ionized, so it's kind of almost like a plasma, and it's
solid, right?
Yeah, it's
appearing to
solid.
be solid. Gee,
Yeah.
that comes up so often. Isn't that ironic?
Semi-permeable layers leading up. I think like HARP, they're what are they doing? Right, they're shooting a frequency up and hitting something. Hitting what? Like dang, they're hitting the container. You know what I'm saying? They just replaced the container with the ionosphere.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so moving on, I want Jeran and Austin to talk a little bit about the True Earth Mount Meru Summit, which is coming up November 11th and 12th, 2022. And I do have your video here that I can play for that. Jeran, do you want me to play that first, or do you
I
want
want
to
to
say
hear the
something
one.
about it?
I want to hear the one Dave made, so I'm going to send you a link real quick.
Oh, okay.
Dave,
because I grabbed the one off your channel.
Yeah, I want to hear Dave's. It'd be my first time as well. Yeah, we did one that had like a little wizard-like voice, but people didn't like it very much, and I didn't really either. But I thought it was okay. But we just kind of changed it up. So
okay,
I think the wizard's hilarious.
I thought it was pretty good too, but you know,
you were right hating, bro.
What are you gonna do? They said it sounded like it was mocking. So, you know, all right, this is coming across here, and I'll give you this link. And here, copy link. You want it in StreamYard?
Yeah.
Okay. And it is there. Yeah,
Oh, that's right. And then Kyle also has his Professor Troll video. We'll have to show that too. For sure. Let's see. Whoops. Hang on a second. All right. So anyway, there's that. And let's go ahead and just play the video. Here we go.
We'll watch that, and then we can look at this thing.
In a world where you've been lied to about most everything, finding the truth isn't easy, but we have to start somewhere. And so Jeran and Austin are bringing things back together. Join them for the first ever True Earth Mount Meru Summit. This online summit will feature some of the best speakers, presenters, and entertainers, and all at an affordable price. And will feature David Avocado Wolf, Ryan from High Impact Flicks, Ben from Taboo Conspiracy, Marty Leeds, Amanda Vollmer, Sean Hibbler from Hibbler Productions, Peggy Hall, Eddie Bravo, Dave Murphy, Eru Landucci, Bob Nodell, David Weiss from DITRH, and Caleb from TikTok, with live music from Chris Crum and conspiracy music guru. And they will top it all off on Saturday night with some stand-up comedy from primetime Alex Stein, followed by Owen Benjamin. Crushing. Brought to you by your host, Jeran Campanella from Jeranism, and Austin Whitsitt from Whitsitt Gets It. There's nowhere better to be on November 11th and 12th. Well, maybe Mount Meru. It's the first ever True Earth Mount Meru Summit. Tickets on sale now at temms.live.
Yay! I don't know. I thought that the wizard voice was way better than that, but that's just me. I
Is
think
that the one on your channel?
No, that one's not the wizard voice either. I think Austin has that one, the wizard one. But yeah, so Austin and I were just talking. We came up with this idea, and we didn't even know if we would go forward with it. We said, well, we're going to have to get all these speakers. We want to get the right people. We'd have to be happy with the lineup. And it all just started to come together. And we just added Eddie Bravo. So now, I mean, the lineup is as stacked as could be. And I couldn't ask for anything better, especially for a first time doing this. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So Eddie's going to be there Friday night. We're going to have to extend it by an hour. It was supposed to be a shorter Friday. Now it's going to be 1 hour later. And I mean, an additional hour has been added on Friday night after the 11/11.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
it's just going to be awesome. Yeah. Alex and Owen on Saturday night. And everybody's going to present. And it's just going to be pretty sweet. And then one of the things that we're going to make sure we do is we wanted to make it so that the value that you get for attending far outweighs the price of the ticket. And to do that, for example, I offered 50% off any of my consultation services to any of the VIPs. So that's one thing where, if you were to get a consultation with me and use that coupon, you actually are saving as much money there as you cost for the ticket. So there's going to be many more things like that. All the speakers are going to be giving some sort of goodie away, whether it's a discount code or something, so that you're just going to get like a package that you take home. It's like a big old goodie bag. And that's for both people, not just VIPs. VIPs will get more than the other ones do. And by the way, I think we're only down to, let me see how many VIPs we have left. Did you check? Let me check. I don't know.
I haven't. Now, will you be able to purchase this event after it takes place? Say there's some people out there that don't have the money but really want to see it. Is there going to be a platform that it'll be available to purchase?
Probably not, but I'll tell you why that is because after about a month, I think we're just going to let people release whatever they want. Meaning, if you're David Avocado Wolf, you can release on your channel. If you're Amanda Vollmer, just go ahead and release your presentation. So that's probably why it would be kind of weird to sell it and then have somebody.
Yeah, I hear you.
So that's kind of, we hope people go and actually enjoy the live event. And then you're also, by the way, supporting whoever it is that you purchased the ticket through. So it's something I don't see in any other really these kind of summits, and it's something that was important to Austin and I, that we wanted, number one, to pay speakers. We wanted them to want to come and want to be able to present with the group, and then we also wanted them to have an incentive to bring more people on. So that's why we wanted to branch out into some of these other audiences: Peggy Hall, Eddie Bravo, Owen Benjamin. These guys are going to be talking about the event, giving their coupon code, and anybody who comes and signs up with their coupon code actually directly supports them. So it's all in all a great way of handling the whole thing, is everybody can benefit. And we think it's a good benefit for the viewer, especially if there's somebody who doesn't get a chance to watch our stuff a lot, to kind of have 2 days packed full of some of the best, at least the ones that Austin and I find the best. And
and knowing that, a lot of your payment that you're making is actually going to the person that, you're there to see. They're actually getting that money. That's awesome.
That's what's so cool about it.
Yeah.
And it's like we got like Peggy Hall, like you said, and then we got High Impact Flicks. And when we start to have these people with big followings, other places starting to kind of be a part of a True Earth summit, that's epic, right? Like that in and of itself is epic, that we're having people that have kind of tiptoed around it be a part of this event. And I think that we should definitely be all on board with that. Like anytime you can get bigger people to kind of be a part of the event, talking about how we were deceived about the Earth, that's a huge win. And then like supporting the people that you specifically want to support. I think that everyone should understand the concept of that, right? We're all censored, so you're supposed to support what you like or it goes away. So yeah, to me, it's pretty much a no-brainer. I think it's just like it's pretty amazing that all these people are going to be there. I don't think that either one of us thought it would have fallen into place like that.
We made a list the night that we were thinking about it. We made this huge list, and we're like, if we can get like half these, it'd be great. And I think didn't we get everybody on the list?
Yeah, everyone we came up with.
Yeah, I think so.
It's just crazy. So
yeah, that's insane. And nobody that I can think of said no. So pretty impressive, and just good to get everybody together and not have anybody bickering and fighting. And that's what we really wanted. We were kind of talking about everything going on with other channels and getting attacks. And it's like, let's just bring things back to the center. Let's kind of gather everybody, and then we go forward together. And we kind of thought of it, and then we were thinking center and Mount Meru, and it just kind of all came together perfectly. And so we hope that you guys attend. You're supporting us. You're supporting the person that you use the coupon code. And in my video that I put up, or on my YouTube channel, in the description is everybody's coupon code. So if you need to
and yours, okay. Where was that? That's exactly what I was looking for.
Go in the description. I believe it's there. Let me go back to StreamYard. Oh, not if you go to my website. I mean, my YouTube channel. I could probably put them on this page too. I didn't even think about that. Maybe I'll just put them there. There's not any difficult ones. I mean, Conspiracy Music Guru is CMG.
Right. Mine is Bob 50, BOB 50.
There you go. And then you might see some out there that people that aren't speakers, and the reason for that is because they've like SGT Report had Dave and I on, and we gave him a code, and so he can now try and sell seats as well. So it's kind of an all-encompassing, help people out that are supporting us, help people out that are promoting it, help people out that are speaking. And we think all in all, it's going to be a great event. I'm going to be, because I've attended a couple of these, and my biggest gripe is the time, that it seems like nobody can ever stay on time. It's, here's your schedule, but you look at the schedule, like, why are we off so much? And so, we're 2 hours behind. So I'm going to be kind of a little bit of a time Nazi and really force the time so that we get all the people in when they're supposed to be there, and have a good time and a good presentation from everybody. I'm really looking forward to it.
That's
you
awesome,
come and go as you want, right?
Administrator that's something that, a flat Earth event needs. And Karen B knows all about it. It can be a pain in the ass.
And let me say about that too. It's not a replacement for at all the get-togethers that are in person. Okay, I'm the first one to tell you that those are magical in a way that a summit cannot be. Okay, so don't.
Yeah, this is really going to be a bunch of new people.
That's what we hope.
Yeah, seeing flat Earth stuff that they never would have saw before. Watching, Brian from High Impact Flicks. I watch his stuff all the time,
right?
And he doesn't cover flat Earth, but he does a great job, and he's all about truth and freedom, and everything that we're about. It's just he covers different topics.
And he mentioned that the other day on the show. Dave sent me a clip of him talking about Dave and I. He's like, I love Dave and Jeran because they don't get on me about what I cover. This is what I like to do, and I respect them for what they like to cover. And he's wearing a NASA, Mickey Mouse NASA shirt, which is.
I heard him say that. I thought that was awesome. He said that.
Right. And that's how we expect it to be, right? That's how I've always been. And it's just so weird, this community.
Yeah, we should be supporting each other like that, you know, and not trying to, you know,
and for the most
dox
part,
everybody.
for the most part, I have. I mean, I was trying to think the other day, like, it's just weird. And I think the same goes for Austin. The same goes for you, Bob, is we've never been about attacking others. Now, you might see battles, fights, whatever you might want to call them.
Yeah, well, we're going to respond, you know.
That's the
I'm
thing.
a
It's just like,
Scorpio. You burn me, I'm going to burn you back, you know.
and that sucks because once people find that out, then they're going to make that a point just so they can get more views or whatever. And I have to work on that myself. I really have to work on just not even thinking about it. But just so people know, that's not my intent. My intent is just to do my own stuff on YouTube, face forward, keep going, and not have to constantly be approached about what I believe. This is the crazy thing about the truth movement. Why does it matter if I think science doesn't prove things? Who cares? You do your show, I'll do my show. Why does it matter that I don't believe in your God? It doesn't matter. It's just I'm not saying anything bad. I'm not saying kill babies. I'm just presenting stuff. You know, why does it matter that you don't like the Baby Truth show because you think I'm a pedophile or it's a recruiting children? It's just stupid shit that people have a problem with what I'm doing. But I never am like, oh, let's go attack this channel. I don't like what this channel's doing. I'm going to go to. It's just dumb to me that that's what it's become, and it really shows me that there's people here who can make content. Look at what Austin's been doing. 2 weeks in a row, almost every night. There's a new show with a new title, whether it's birthing, whether it's, you name it, you know, the debate roundup. Like, he can make content. He can do his own content. He doesn't need anybody else. Well, there is people who need other people to give them content. And I think sometimes we just respond too much to that and almost help them out.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why events like this and Flattoberfest is so cool, because it's just the actual legends like getting together and crushing, right? Where like there's going to be a variance of subjects covered at the summit, presumably. And that's what's so cool. All those people have their own gifts and aptitudes and their own ability to deliver information, and they crush in their own ways. And that's what makes the revelation of the earth so beautiful. It's like everyone lives on the earth. So you have a huge walk of life, like spectrum, right? And I just think that those people should be highlighted. Those people should be supported, and the rest of it's kind of for the birds. And yeah, I'm all for like everyone just kind of promoting those people with their own gifts. Like, yo, me and Jeran aren't identical, but that's like my brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know why it's so complicated for people, honestly, but it should go without being said. And when people are out there spreading the truth, you should support them if the truth matters to you, because that's the only way that you found out about it. Right.
Don't get me wrong. If people are doing wrong things, I would expect to be put in my place. If I'm, doing something, stealing from people or doing something, Austin's not going to want to have anything to do with me, and rightfully so, right? But so there is a time where you do have to draw the line. But when there's not happening, when it's just people maybe searching truth, presenting truth in their own way, I don't really get why we would be frustrated with that. So what I don't want to see from this conference is people in the chat or things like that. If let's say Amanda Vollmer's talking and she says something that's different than they might believe, relax. It's okay for people to believe different things. It's okay to hear somebody out, put it into your mind, and just kind of hold it there. It doesn't mean you have to. They're not trying to change your opinion. They're not saying you have to believe like they do. So that's the one thing I want to see, is just more acceptance for those who are putting their gifts out in front and letting people kind of learn from them and just listen. That's all it's about, is listening.
Yeah, didn't someone say that's a true sign of intelligence, to be able to look at it from a point of view that isn't your own and just take it in?
Yeah.
And you don't have to agree with it, but just listen and actually pay attention. And
entertain an idea without believing
it, right?
Yeah.
We all dared to disagree with the mainstream media claim to science.
Well, you see someone in the chat every time we play the trailer or whatever, they're like, oh yeah, this is cool, this is awesome, but Alex Stein, really? Or like Owen, really? It's like, that's the whole point. There's a huge spectrum of people. You could come and go as you want, right? Like you can never make the truthers happy, right? There's always going to be someone saying something. But like that was kind of what our idea was there's a whole spectrum of people here, bro. And that's, I don't know. I just feel like that's one of the number one things holding the truthers back, is like they think they're all like the truther of truthers and everyone needs to run everything by them before they hear something. And just like Zach said, like the sign of intelligence or the mark of a wise man would be able to entertain something without believing it. That's how you learn things you maybe didn't know prior to that. So I'll stop my rants.
No, it's all about community building. And this right here is like, this is it, community building. And that's really important for the Flat Earth movement right now. If we
and networking, right? I mean, networking in a way that I want my audience to get to know who Peggy Hall is and get to know who Amanda is. And then I want their audience to learn who we are. And that's all this is. And at the end, everybody benefits in that we've provided a good amount of goodies for the audience. They've gotten 2 days full of presentations, comedy, music, that video that they can take home, they can download whatever they need to do with it. And then from there, all the speakers get some support for doing it. So it's not like every other thing that they've been asked to do where they show up and don't get anything for it. They hope that somebody follows their channel or something. This is a little bit different, and we're trying this model. And we'll see how it goes.
Yep. And when the channel tries to tell you who to watch or who to be ashamed of if they're presenting certain content, that's who you want to avoid, honestly, because that's ridiculous. That's the problem that we have right now is, it's our way or the highway. And when we don't conform to that, we're attacked. Well, we don't need that in this community.
We left that. That's NASA for you.
That's right. And we sure as hell don't need this in the community. Yep.
No. It's like dogma again, all over again, right? Oh no, these are the required beliefs for people in this community. No, they're not. Nope. You're free to believe whatever you want. You can think differently. You can think outside the box, and you just enjoy hearing somebody who has maybe an open mind compared to most people that you listen to. You're going to get a more open mind from me or from Austin, from any of us, than you would from anything on TV. So that alone is something I look for. I can't even stand like the radio anymore or anything like that. You turn on the radio, all those guys are reading from scripts. They're not even giving you their real opinions. That's why they'll tell you the vaccine is, safe and effective. And they'll tell you everything is just what you're required to say in those positions. If you haven't heard, by the way, Owen Benjamin did an interview with Allison, who's also on Rockfin with us. And it's just a great interview to listen because she starts kind of talking and then she brings up an article out of Reddit that is just garbage. And Owen goes at her for like 30 minutes and they kind of finish on a good note. But it's a great expose of like the problem that we have with people thinking that these no-name commenters or these no-name channels that don't even show their face, they're not on equal standing with us. And people treat them like they are. Like some nobody who comes out of nowhere and accuses us of things. You want a response. Jeran, what's your response to this? What's your response to that? When they're not even in our... So anyway, you listen to that if you're on Rockfin. Check out Allison. I forgot her last name. But anyway, you'll see it. Her and Owen did an interview the other day. I thought it was fantastic.
All right. Excellent. Okay. And obviously before that, we have on October... Whoops, am I on? Yeah, okay. On October 21st to the 23rd, we have Flattoberfest. And that's going to be an outstanding event. Hope everybody can make it. Tickets are still on sale. And, like I said, there is no substitute for being there live. There really isn't. I mean, it is so good to meet other people and, just have interaction with them directly like that. It's awesome. So that's coming up. And let me go ahead and roll Karen's intro on this. Let's see if I got the right one loaded here. Yep, I do. Here we go.
Carolina, October 22nd to 23rd. With the grand return of Mark Sargent. And live music from Chief Crow and the Flat Earth Worms. Austin Whitsitt of Whitsitt Gets It. Benjamin Balderson of Olden's Alchemy. Jason Lindgren of Secrets of Saturn and Crow 777 Radio. Marty Leeds of GnosticAcademy.org. One Big Love. How the World Works with Cami and Zack. And new music by Austin and Kai Whitsitt. Reserve your tickets at flatearthfestivals.com.
I want to be with people that have functioning brains who aren't afraid to show their beautiful faces.
So do we, Rose. Amen to that. So, Austin, are we actually going to hear some new music from you and Kai?
Yeah, we're gonna drop at least a couple songs exclusive.
Well,
So I
that is
think
awesome.
yeah, like a couple individual and then a little one we do together.
I know it's so funny because I was in your chat the other night and I made some comment about, yeah, Austin's new intro song is almost as good as the Globebusters one, right? And everybody's like, oh yeah, that one's epic. Definitely the best ever. And then I'm like, well, you do know that Austin wrote them both, right? And performed them. And they're like, no way, really?
That's funny. Yeah, like it's gonna be cool, man. It's gonna be cool. So like no one will hear the songs unless you're there. I mean, you know afterwards maybe, but yeah, it's gonna be cool. They're gonna be exclusive to Flattoberfest, and then we'll perform them. So it should be a good time.
Yep. I think that'll be totally cool.
And I think there's going to be the, what do you call it? The premiere of our Billy Idol's We Didn't Start the Fire that we changed to Why Do We Trust These Liars? Performed by Conspiracy Music Guru. So that's going to be released on that event.
Oh, that's awesome because that song is that song is fire, bro.
Yeah, that's one of the better parodies we've come. So if people don't know, Chris Crumb and I was on his channel a couple Sundays in a row, and we had audience participation to write. And you guys know that song, right? We Didn't Start the Fire. That kind of goes through a list of history, and we just said it'd be funny to do conspiracy stuff, and it was fantastic. So I might have a little bit. I could probably play a minute of it. But there's going to be a video release and the whole song. We haven't ever played the whole song. Let me see if I have it right here.
Yeah, the chorus after Flat Earth made me think that whole song is about conspiracies. It's like everything they're naming,
right?
There's like a conspiracy behind it, and the chorus is the world's been turning since So yeah, the world turning is the lie. You know, that's the fire.
All right, we'll listen to just a minute of it. Here we go. See if you can hear this. Can you hear that?
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
Spaces gate, Boston bombing falls, flag Joe Biden torpedo. Dr. Fauci always lying, Stevie Wonder is a blind fake the real, we shall see it down the rabbit hole. Build a Burns fake bomb, Michael Obama, huge dumb bar, up the Kenyan guy, has your wife identified. Warp speed, vaccine, J&J, jeans, myocarditis, kiss your sweet ass goodbye. Why do you trust these liars?
Hey.
Must be discerning, cause the world's not turning, no more astronauts or wires. This world is fake and you know it, it's how we expose it.
All right.
That's
hilarious.
Awesome, dude.
So
and that's like a over 5 minute song.
Who's actually singing that right there?
That's Conspiracy Music Guru.
Are you shitting me? That's Alex?
That's awesome. He's incredible.
He's so good.
He can imitate anybody.
It's
I
ridiculous.
Swear.
It's almost sketchy.
It's almost sketchy because we decided during the show on Sundays, like, yeah, let's ask him to do it. I think I was like going to bed and sent him like, hey, you want to look at this? Maybe sing it. Like I woke up the next morning, it was done. It's like I sent it to Crumb. He's like, there's no way he's done with this. I'm like, dude, it's just already done.
Dude, that dude dropped a Rastafarian song the other day. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm like, bro, what is a reggae like Rastafarian song? I'm like, this guy is insane. Like it's wild how talented he is.
Yeah, and I actually think the video that's on my channel, the trailer, is a trailer that he made overnight last night. So when I went to bed, the plan was to use the wizard voice, and I woke up and he's like, no, I think it's better like this without and he did that. So he's incredible.
Yeah, he's cool, man.
Alex is amazing. He's such an amazing person too. I will always cherish those, that time in Denver when we got to meet him and hang out with him. That was just incredible.
Oh, and then he had the concert was awesome too.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's amazing how he can mimic anybody, whether they're Australian or It just doesn't matter. He can do anybody's style, and he does it with perfection.
And he doesn't. The coolest part is he doesn't have to. His original voice, him singing, is amazing. In Denver, I got him to do a couple blues songs, singing in his voice, and yeah, I was blown away. Just like, no way, this. You don't even need to change your voice. It just shows how talented the guy is, though. He can do anything.
And to support him, check out Amazon. He's got all these kids' books that are basically just his songs done in book form. And we have 2 of them from Maverick. He loves them. They're fantastic books. They're great pictures. I don't even know who does the art, but they're fantastic.
Yeah, that's super cool. That's super cool. And so they're going to play that song. Then we're going to have some more songs. So that's crazy. Exclusive releases of music at Flattoberfest. And then, yeah, like we said, it's not quite, it's not the same as.
What is this picture? When was this one?
This Eru gave me this. Eru, can you tell us about this?
Eru, how can they see the plume? Isn't it like hundreds of miles off the shore?
Well, that is an official video from SpaceX, and now they are presenting like a camera from the drone ship, and with the perspective in our side. I mean, again, I don't see nothing spectacular here in terms of proving the heliocentric model. I mean, it's just a rocket coming into view, and nobody see that going from the sky to the platform there in the ocean. They just, but after all, what is the magic behind a rocket just going down in the balanced way until
I don't think it's that impressive because we don't know what's in it. For all we know, it's a helium aluminum chip. I don't know.
And why would you not have another? I know they don't want people out there because it might not hit its target, and you could kill. Put another platform, with a camera,
man.
a drone,
or the drone, something more
anything.
spectacular. I mean,
An
United
airplane
States
flying by, anything.
Yeah, United States has this marketing master in every way to sell you whatever. It doesn't matter. You're gonna sell just a pencil, and you use a drone, a plane, a helicopter, a GI Joe agent, a Chuck Norris, everything. But the space, not. The space is just the most boring thing that United States ever produced, and that's weird, man. I mean, one camera only for United States enterprise.
You know how expensive GoPros are? NASA only gets $1 million a day, so
I can give you one.
Oh, that's true. I guess
but everything is in little steps, It's the only industry that go backwards or advance a really, really tiny little steps in terms of the marketing, branding, etc., right?
And anybody in the audience have this particular type of internet yet? This what are they called again?
Fiber?
No,
Starlink.
Starlink.
Oh, Starlink.
So they've got
I don't.
Hundreds or thousands of these things up there supposedly, but I don't know one person that uses that internet.
I know there's all kinds of complaints, and they are not. They did an automatic refund because they weren't going to meet the quota for the. You pay for it, and then they're allowed so much time to get it to you. Well, they realize they're not going to hit that quota, that time limit.
What do they claim is the upload speeds?
I'm not 100%.
Yeah, me neither.
But it's very expensive in terms of the other companies giving the same service.
Yeah, again, I mean, these things can be easily done on. Who was just telling me the other day? There's some guy who was a military guy that said, "Oh yeah, you could just put balloons up with GPS and it works the same." I'm trying to remember who told me that. I'll have to think about it. Somebody told me
that. Okay. All right. So last couple of things before we get out of here. Little news story here. This is pretty funny. The universe is not locally real, and the physics Nobel Prize winners proved it. Ay, caramba. All right. So elegant experiments with entangled light have laid bare a profound mystery at the heart of reality. And so they say one or more unsettling discoveries in the past half century is that the universe is not locally real. Real meaning that objects have definite properties independent of observation. An apple can be red even when no one is looking. Local means objects can only be influenced by their surroundings, and that any influence cannot travel faster than light. So basically, I think they're just really starting to push the sim theory, which, like I said, I haven't been able to disprove it. I don't know, where you guys are thinking about it, but I don't know. These kind of stories really bother me a lot, because they come across so hokey.
Yeah, this really gets into philosophy. I don't know why this would be in a Scientific American journal, because it's not. This is totally philosophy based.
But I almost think that is the truth, right? I mean, I think the changing everything to material is what science has done to erase the supernatural, right?
Mm-hmm.
So really, I think that we do kind of create our own realities, that we do collectively build the world around us. It is about our thoughts. That is how it works. Now, again, if you have everybody believing in materiality then it's not going to work very well. We're not even going to see evidence of it because everybody thinks that way. So if we do they're all thinking materialistically, then that's the way the world's going to go. I'm not saying that means it's true, because when we go and observe it, all of a sudden things are changing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it does seem like there's a flux happening.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, but
the
way they're wording it seems,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, the simulation thing is where I get it, because it's not a simulation, even though this is as real as it gets. So to call what is the realest thing possible as a simulation is a little bit weird.
Yeah, I think that they're trying to basically push quantum mechanics, and I look at quantum physics and quantum mechanics as a load of BS, frankly, for the most part. And when the mainstream pushes it, there's probably something wrong with it, right?
So Bob, why do they say, like the guy Bryant said to Austin, that quantum mechanics is responsible for computers?
Because he has no idea what the hell he's talking about. QE said the same thing. Oh yeah, everything, all your modern day computers today are based on quantum mechanics. No, that's not true.
1836, the first computer was designed, and it still
switches,
functions
right?
off the same.
Switches.
Yep, the same mechanics are used.
That's right. The same type of logical layout can be built with tubes, triode tubes, diode tubes, pentode tubes, tetrode tubes, and old-fashioned, old-timey, 1900s circuitry. The only thing that's happened is that it's gotten faster and faster and faster with the introduction of semiconductors,
and smaller and smaller and smaller,
and smaller and smaller and smaller. But as far as innovative and new operating principles, not a chance. You can, like I said before, when you look at Back to the Future, right? So they had when Marty took the time machine back, right, to 1950, whatever. The Professor Brown was able to then build stuff out of tubes to run the flux capacitor, right? And that is so true, because the advancements, new technologies that create new things, they're not doing anything, and they're trying to make it seem like if it wasn't for quantum mechanics, we wouldn't have any of this, which is a load of BS on every level.
No, it's all testing. The whole idea of, all these different electronic components. Yeah, math explained it to people and why it does what it does, but it was testing. They took this metal and, wrapped one wire on the other, ran electricity in through one end, and a certain amount came out the other. And they said, okay, that one did all right. And then they tested another piece of metal. And it was testing and testing and testing, and hours and hours and hours of just playing around. And then they figured out which works best.
Well, it's just also stupid, right? So they just reify the subatomic particles. So they just assume they're there, and then they reify them, and then they say, look, if we count them and reify them, then this is how much goes into this and this and this. And then math has helped us get real intricate with certain types of replication. So then people run around saying stuff like, you wouldn't have computers without quantum. But actually, the truth is that the fact that computer works has in no way verified your concept that you reified. And that's as simple as it is.
It can't even really be disproved.
Well, no, because it can never, because it's never proved, right? I mean, it's
Right.
such an astronomically small scale that you would never be able to prove or disprove any of it. I mean, you can't disprove something that's not proven, right? I mean, that's why a positive claim has the burden of proof. Yeah, so it's a very convenient position for them to take, and then it's all built upon the photoelectric effect, which Einstein got the Nobel Prize for. The idea that light, so a physical photon hits the atom and dislodges an electron, and morphs into the electron, turning into a photoelectron. All this pseudoscience. And so that's why they say that, because like cameras and computers and all this, so they use like photoelectric effect, parametric down conversion, all that stuff, and it's just all relying on the concepts being reified. So yeah, it's really stupid. Honestly, I think it's dumb. And what can you do? It's the same thing. It's the same thing as the globe. They just made up a mathematical equation to represent the convention and then reified it.
And once you've convinced people that math is reality, then they don't know how to tell the difference between arithmetic and nonsense math and equations. Because there is some math. I mean, 1 + 1 = 2 will always be that. It's proven. We don't need to keep sciencing that. But that's because it's a human conception that isn't like science, and that you can come up with proof and facts and things like that with that, or logic too. Logic's the same way.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's crazy that people don't get it, but I think I've kind of realized, like, if you don't understand some of this stuff, then you're not supposed to understand it. That's how I now look at it. So I'm like, yeah, you're right, bro. Quantum. Yeah, it's the only way we have computers for sure, bro. Just don't go outside without a helmet.
Yeah. Yep. And then there's this article, which is kind of cool because they're starting to at least admit now that there is a very dominant magnetic field that is present in the so-called universe. And that's good to see because that, it starts to take us down the road of the electric universe, which I think is a lot more accurate than this stupid gravity-based universe that doesn't work at all. But it's funny, they are now acknowledging, well, yeah, magnetics it's playing a major role, but they're not taking it all the way through to its logical conclusion of, well, then obviously if these magnetic fields are creating this construct outside of us, then the electrical side of the universe has to be dominant. And it is dominant. It's as simple as that. So
yeah, but what do you think, Bob? Do you think they're gonna like kind of come out and end up updating it to like this plasma electric type universe, and then keep the idea?
I think they have to, but they have to be very careful how they do it, because somehow they have to be able to keep that and every other theory that they've kept, so that they can switch back and forth, because they have no damn clue what's going on. Actually, I think they do, but they don't want us to know. And
yeah, I mean, I think they have ideas. Like I
Yeah.
don't think they can go out there, but I think they know more than
Oh
we
yeah,
know.
they do. Yeah, for me to say they don't have a clue, that's actually not accurate. I think they know a lot about what's going on out there, but to allow us in on that little inside bit of information, that's a problem.
Yeah, I
And
think NASA's like put there so that we don't figure out what they know.
This is what I'm hearing from people. So this guy Chris Blasco in the chat says that the logic is not what works at the quantum physics level. What is newer technology like solid state CPUs, etc. Quantum physics is how transistors get smaller to make faster computers. How is that? How does quantum mechanics have something to do with making transistors smaller?
No, it doesn't. So all quantum does is it gets really intricate measurements. So like it sees a phenomenon, it reifies the idea of there's an electron here, a boson here,
beam
blah blah blah.
counting. Yes.
Yeah, and then they beam count so that they can get more intricate equations, so they can have more precise replication, and that's cool or whatever. To claim that the convention has no benefit would be wrong. It does. It increases
helps
precision.
fine-tune things.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean it's real.
Yeah.
It's like so simple. It's not even kind of complicated.
I think we're still operating under Moore's law, aren't we? Where every year, or whatever it is, every year that you double the memory.
Oh yeah, the transistors.
Yeah.
The amount of transistors.
Now I know
yeah.
that's getting close. I thought I remember hearing 2030. There's some date that they've already said you can't go smaller than that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
well, it's hard
Pretty
to
soon.
say.
Yeah, I thought they said it was pretty soon, and then you're supposed to quantum computers are supposed to kick in or something. But I'll look. Into it.
So if you put the word quantum in front of it, then there are little subatomic particles of matter-defying physics all over the place for sure.
Yeah, and the thing that's strange about quantum computers is they talk about these quantum supercomputers, but they don't really talk about how they operate that. It's kind of like they're getting the information from the spirit world or something. I mean, literally, that's how it comes across. It's crazy. So I don't know what to think about it. But as far as a real science that's giving us any producible technology, I think it's a bunch of BS. It's
Yeah, I
just
think
not
they just put the
happening.
word. I think they put the word quantum in front of something now if they just want to sound smart. Like anyone that doesn't know what they're talking about, they just say quantum, and
Yeah.
then they're allowed to not know what they're talking about because quantum's so mysterious. And
Well, yeah.
it's
And it's even the quantum computer. I mean, I hear it, but I don't think that there really is one. This is just, I'm reading this and it kind of sounds like what I thought. It says, somebody asked, will Moore's law be revised in the quantum world? It says, I don't think so. The traditional computing, the cells of a memory or the functional blocks in a CPU are essentially independent. Aside from the control and data lines which connect them, this has meant that our ability to double the size of memory or add more functional units to a CPU is limited mostly by the fabrication technology. Happily, we've been able to improve this fabrication technology rapidly over a long period of time, which is what Moore's law is and how they double, how now we can fit a terabyte in a thumb drive. Whereas 65 megabytes used to fit in the airplane. In a quantum computer, the qubits are fundamentally dependent in a way that is absent from traditional computing. Quantum computation takes place only when and if we can actually collectively entangle the qubits participating in that computation. Creating the entangled state over space and maintaining over time is not just a fabrication problem, it's an overall system design issue. So, I mean, it sounds like we're not even there yet. They like to make us think we are.
Yeah, exactly.
What they're claiming is happening.
No, I always see articles. The first quantum computer is almost, ready. And then they say, well, these are kind of quantum computers, but this is what the first quantum computer will look like. Yeah.
Quantum computers wouldn't use a CPU. I don't think.
Yeah, well,
no. Right?
Like I said, they don't tell us much about how they work at all.
Right. And in Moore's law, I just had to look at Moore's law, make sure it's every 18. So Moore's law states that the number of transistors on an integrated circuit doubles every year. Then it was revised to 18 months, then 2 years, depending on which version you choose. It has held true for a very long time. However, it will not go on forever. Well, firstly, because we have the point that all matter, including semiconductors, would be just made up of atoms, and you can't get smaller than that. You can't even get that small. So anyway, I think we're getting pretty close.
Yeah, no doubt. Oh, you know what? I want to play Kyle's video really quick. And before I forget, because this is great. Kyle, you want to
so
tell
much
people
fun
about
making
this?
Oh no, just let them see it for themselves.
All right. Here we go. This is awesome.
Grumpy old troll. I'm a grumpy old troll who lives under the fridge. Hey, I'm a grumpy old troll who lives under the fridge. I'm a grumpy old troll who lives under the fridge. Hey, I'm a grumpy old troll who lives under the fridge. This ball spins, so the half facing the sun is day and the other half is night. As it goes around the sun, the hemisphere receiving more direct sunlight experiences summer. The one with less experiences winter. That's right, sorry to burst your bubble, it doesn't correlate with the distance from the sun. Sunlight shining directly on the ground, more energy per square mile, hotter. Sunlight at an angle to the ground, same amount of energy distributed around a greater area, cooler. And there it is. Both the seasons and day and night are explained immaculately and go figure simultaneously. Honestly, I could stop right here.
Fire song.
That was awesome, Kyle.
Oh, this must mean we have to breathe in glass from our atmosphere, man.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah. That's what Jake the asshole said. So,
Not straw man me at all.
no, what a clown.
I didn't look up almost anything you believe.
Yeah, we could see that.
Bro got Mario in the background. So.
Yep. Well done, Kyle.
His whole voice and attitude is so much easier to tolerate
with the voice change
like that.
Yep. And the thing about this, especially this right here, that we're told that a simple 23.5 degree tilt of the Earth, it makes the difference between summer and winter, and nearly 400 Earth diameters don't make any difference.
Yeah,
that's so absurd because, as Dave Weiss pointed out, every single day we rotate into the sun being directly above us, and then we rotate away from it. So why doesn't it snow in the mornings, melt at noon, and then snow at night?
That's a perfect example. Yeah,
it's just retarded. I
You
mean,
just don't
another
understand,
thing-
Bob.
Yeah, I
that's
guess
just kind of
that's
one of
right.
those big things. That clip segment came from the Potter's Clay, and he just blew my mind with that. It's like, whoa. And yeah, you can even read that in the textbooks. I pointed that out in a textbook as well, that this is an actual NASA claim that it's actually taught in schools, is that it's actually warmer when the Earth is farther away from the sun than it is when it's closer to it.
Yeah, that makes sense. 180 degrees opposite of everything they say. So
Yep.
it fits.
It's absolutely it's unbelievable how wrong Professor Dave can be in everything that he says.
Well, it
It's
helps when
just
you actually look stuff up, right?
yeah. Well, I didn't look up anything. It's like, yeah, that's freaking obvious, dude.
And yet he wants to point out and say, you guys just don't understand. You don't have a model. I'm like, what?
Yeah. And the other thing he demonstrates clearly is he doesn't know the difference between linear and curvilinear motion. Doesn't have a clue.
Yo, that's the next debate that I'm really gonna focus in on. I really want to debate that, dude.
Yeah. Well, it'll probably just frustrate you, but
Let's listen to this. This is if you want to hear being a hypocrite like you've never heard before. Listen to this.
Introduces himself as Dr. Kent Hovind and claims to have multiple doctorates, has no degrees of any kind.
That's really low, Jeran.
I know. I don't know. Can't turn it up. So he's saying that, and he introduces himself as Dr. Kent Hovind, and he doesn't have any. You're Professor Dave and not a professor. Jackass. Hilarious. It's too quiet.
Yeah, typically to be a professor, you should be a doctor.
Yeah,
It usually requires the PhD.
You
but,
can't have a problem with other people putting things in front of their names if you do the same thing.
Yep. Well, there you have it. The hypocrisy, they live by it. Stand strong by it.
I think a truth seeker, right? And they look at this and they're like, "Wow, that does show exactly what would happen if the Earth was flat." And then you see it loop around the whole outside, and you're like, "Oh wow, you could have 24-hour on the outside too, like 24-hour sunlight." Like a truther would be like, has to at least be like, "That is pretty crazy." Like that does explain how it could happen. If you frantically try to dismiss it with stupid comments like, "Oh, we must be breathing glass," like you're not a truther. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't care about truth because.
Or
when
you
I first saw that, I was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, it's like, okay, that means that other things are possible. Or once you've seen the flat Earth map, and you've been taught your whole life about, going around the planet and it's a sphere. Once I saw that map, I mean, my whole life changed because it's like, that part of my brain was blocked off. My wife asked me, "Could the Earth be flat?" No, planes go around it. Dummy, how could it be flat?
Yeah, like Pac-Man model, right? Exactly. Yeah, that's what I had. So until I saw that map, yeah.
And then it just teaches you that there's many things that our brain blocks because of indoctrination, because of how we're taught. And we know that that's the design of the way. In fact, how about this? Who was I watching the other day that was talking about the women's movement? Oh, Eddie Bravo. Eddie Bravo was talking about the women's movement and teaching the women to vote, or passing laws that allowed them to vote and becoming equals and going to work. And somebody was saying that, and then they said, "Oh, well, Rockefeller was who it was." It said Rockefeller said, "Oh, well, we did that on purpose." And the person said, "Why?
Yep.
What do you mean?" He says, "Well, because we wanted to destroy the family, and the only way we could get children into our education centers was to make the woman think that she needed to work and needed to be out of the house, and so that then they would have to put children into school, and then we could essentially indoctrinate the entire country. We couldn't do that before. We would only be able to indoctrinate those children that went to the schools. The other children that stayed home would still be unindoctrinated." So, I mean, everything that has happened is a direct result of these guys at the top.
Yeah, that's a trip too, because the dude was talking. I think he was talking to Alex Jones. I saw it on my stream pretty recently, actually. But he's like, "Yeah, I was talking to Rockefeller. He asked me what I thought about women's lib." I'm like, "Yeah, you like equal pay and stuff like that. I support that." He's like, "You're an idiot."
Yeah.
Like, what? He's like, "Yeah. You want me to tell you why you're an idiot?" He said, "Sure." He's like, "Well, we did that. We did that because, for one, we could only tax half the population at the time. And two, we had to, like you said, we had to get all the children into our propaganda indoctrination camps effectively at a young age. And so mission accomplished." It's like, it's crazy. Women didn't vote for the right to vote, by the way. But yeah, I just think it's crazy. Because now look at what we have now. We have Professor Daves and like tight shirts and McLooney Tunes and those zealots in the chat. Like, we have severely brainwashed, indoctrinated, Stockholm syndrome suffering people all over the place.
Yep, that are in positions of educating our young.
Yeah, it's wild. Of course, like, why would they ever want us teaching anybody, right? I mean, if we're like, you know what, don't believe what I say, though. Go test it for yourself. They don't want you saying that in a school.
Yeah, once they learned about propaganda, they wanted everybody to have the right to vote after that, because they knew that these children were going to be in their indoctrination centers and going to vote exactly, even if they didn't vote a certain way, they would be able to indoctrinate them to think that there's only these two choices to choose from.
Exactly.
Yep. So anyway, and as I was saying earlier, guys, I think next week I want to take a closer look at this map, this video that Flattoberfest Banjo put out. That is analysis done by QE, or not QE, QNF. I'm not a big fan of his. He's kind of weird, but he is actually quite sharp technically.
Yeah. He did claim that when we did the test across the Monterey Bay that I faked the picture.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah.
Affect the picture.
Yeah.
Affect the picture. You're an asshole.
You can do that.
You can do that. You can do that.
Look every day. Go look at it for outside.
Yep. But anyway, he dispelled some myths, I think, off of the AE map that people need to look at and see in this video. And Eddie pointed them out very well. That it's not nearly as inaccurate as you would think they are, and the coordinates actually do match. Because one thing most people don't understand is when it gets down to 160 or not 160? I'm sorry.
60 parallel.
Is it 60? Yeah, 60th. Yeah. It cuts off, right? And it's like, whoa. There's what happened to the rest of the globe Earth map. So, and when you start looking at it that way, it's like, oh, well, maybe it's not so inaccurate. And maybe Australia is actually a lot closer to what the Gleason's map is showing. So I want to look at that, and I want to really start looking at that and evaluating that hard, because I think that, we've probably just been sitting on it the whole time, and the propaganda against it has distracted us very much so. So I'll send it to everybody. I'll send you this link and watch it and see what you think, and we'll talk about it next week. Sound good?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
All right, cool. All right, guys. Well, we're going to call it a show then. And let's see. Oh, you know what I should probably do? Let me say thank you for some super chats really quick. First, I'll go to the Rockfin really quick. And wow, okay, we've got a bunch in there. So we have Fishhead Montana says, love you guys. Thank you so much. Verity Chaplin, thank you so much for the tip. Adrian Quintana, as always, thank you so much. Jacob Slatter, thank you, sir. Eric R, thank you so much. Murray Cole, all right, and that handles the Rockman side of it. Let me run over to YouTube now really quick, and I will look those up really quick. I should have a shortcut for this. Let's see.
A little more quick, please.
How dare you?
Oh crap!
Don't go against the spinning of the Earth. Go in favor. You're gonna be more quick.
Planes do account for the spin of the Earth, bro. You didn't know?
That's right. All right, so super chats. All right, so we got Kenneth Chamberlain. Thank you so much for the super chat. Dana Ramoni. Wait a second. Yeah. Oops. Dana Ramoni, keep up the great content, guys. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much for the super chat. Dan Morris, thank you, sir. Kenneth Chamberlain, thank you for the super chat. Adam AO, and also Mixlix, so I read earlier, when I become the crypto millionaire comment. Thank you much for that. And that handles that. So let's go around one last time for any final comments from the panel, and we will call the show. So let's go ahead and start with you this time. What do you got coming up, sir?
I've got a translation project I'm working on, getting my next one out, and I'm looking forward to that. It's a topic that doesn't get really brought up very much in the flat Earth community, but it's one well worth looking into.
Awesome. Okay. Very cool. We'll be looking forward to seeing that. And Zach, what do you got coming from you, sir?
I'm working on a video that's going to be titled "There Are No Negatives in Nature," and I did a little live stream with that title. Kind of touched on some things, but this one's going to be a lot more refined. I'm going to pass it around a little bit, get people's input, and put together a good video. Yeah, I'm going to video edit. Yeah, but I'll do a good job. I'll take my time, and yeah, but that's what I'm working on right now.
I'm sure you will. Very good. Okay, you coming up, sir?
Well, first of all, I'm going to translate a little bit of the debate from Austin because I want to share with Spanish community, particularly the 10 minutes of Austin. I think really, it's a really well done. So I'm going to translate that and share with Spanish community. Then I am preparing because I have tiny conference here in Switzerland, but it's growing up. The people that are trying to get involved with the flat Earth topic, and here where I am, there is like a small community of dissident, if you want to see in that way, and I have a place to give my third conference here in Switzerland, of course in English, and there is a guy who translated into German, not because the people don't understand English, but there are a few that only understand Swiss, which is worse than German. But my idea is keep, make the movement keep grow, and trying to share my knowledge with all those new flat earthers or potential flat earthers. And the rest, I am very active in my Rockfin channel, in my English channel too, NPT for all, and of course in my Spanish platform, especially in my new server, nptmedia.tv, and uploading there also English content. There is a special playlist called NPT for all, and that is all about English videos too. So I invite everyone to check the new site.
Crushing.
Me crashing or Bob crashing?
You are
You're crushing. You're crushing.
Sorry. But okay.
So Peter wants you to do your goodbye as a QNP in your QNP voice.
Okay, it's my internet.
Okay, it's like, okay, good night, piece of shit.
Bob's internet is the one roboting.
I know, we're having some problems with that today. I noticed that before the stream. Oh, I lost Eru and he's back. Okay, there you are, Eru.
Yes, I refresh because maybe it works better, but I think I need to reset the computer.
No, it's not you. It was Bob.
Okay.
Yeah. So okay. Well, anyway, so David just wanted you to do your QFE imitation again. He really liked it.
Yeah, your impersonation was awesome, is what Dave Weiss is saying. Your Q
Yes.
and FE.
Yeah, you need to refresh. If you refresh and you add yourself again to the StreamYard, it's going to work fine because I used to have the same problem.
Yeah. Okay. I need to refresh.
Yeah, but
Am I having
won't that
problems?
kick us all out if he's the host?
No. Doesn't it? Well, maybe because you are transmitting from StreamYard. Yeah. No. Don't refresh. Don't do nothing.
Yeah, are you guys hearing me?
Well, we're hearing you. I mean, if you use
Is
the
it
word
choppy
hearing.
when I talk?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Both.
Okay. Anyway, all right. So let's go over to Jeran then. And Jeran, what do you got coming up, sir?
Maybe being able to breathe for a second. So no, life's good. We got I got a girl on the show with me on Wednesday, I think, and then Thursday we get back into the swing of things. So keep an eye on my channel. I've also got Jeranism Does coming out finally, so we'll be doing that.
All right, sounds good. All right, well, that's the show, guys. We'll see you next week, and thanks for being with us. We appreciate all of you for being here. And we'll catch you on the next go around. Until then, be good to each other. Don't lie to each other. Open your mind. There's truth inside. Peace out, everybody.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.